Down at a field not far from his home, and Fox's Todd Pyro reports.
Officers also recovering 3 AK-47 rifles belonging to him after searching his car and a list of other public officials' addresses. Officials at this time believe he acted alone. His bail set at $5 million. He is charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder.
That's for the murder of Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark, while impersonating a police officer. Belter's also accused of shooting and wounding State Senator John Hoffman and his wife.
Senator Hoffman came out of his final surgery and is moving towards recovery. A vet is healing.
That's Governor Tim Walz also denouncing violence to settle political differences. Israel keeps hitting Iran, which keeps fighting back, launching missiles that got through the Iron Dome defense early this morning, killing at least 5 people, injuring others. More victims may be found.
Search and rescue teams continue to look for more victims. The fighting, though, shows no signs of slowing down. Sirens rung out in Israel overnight as the military says a missile was launched from Yemen. The Israeli Air Force says it also hit command centers belonging to the Quds Force of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tells Fox they keep focusing on disabling Iran's nuclear program and missiles.
We decided to act because we saw enough uranium, enriched uranium, for 9 bombs.
President Trump told reporters he hopes the fighting can stop.
Well, I hope there's going to be a deal. I think it's time for a deal, and we'll see what happens.
The president's on his way to Canada, where he's attending a summit of G7 world leaders, and that conflict certainly a topic. America's listening to Fox News.
Summer is all about making memories, right? Backyard barbecues, road trips, maybe finally getting around to that hiking trail you've been eyeballing. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. So here's a thought. Call 1-800-4RELIEF and try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made from natural ingredients. Best part? Relief Factor doesn't mask pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's kayaking, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in a hammock, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So if you're ready to reclaim your summer, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 1-800-4RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. This hour is presented by Subaru of Gwinnett. You'll love the difference. The Morning Extra, only on Extra 106.3.
Morning, y'all. Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra. Los out this week. In is Angela Morabito. It's always a pleasure to have you. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
It was a wild, crazy, insane weekend, with things happening around the world. Me personally, everything was totally normal and totally fine. And, Father's Day was great. My son is away playing baseball, which I missed him. My dad passed about 6 years ago now. And so that's always a little tough. But overall, just a great weekend. Spending time with my wife, Laura, and we went and had dinner with her dad and celebrated her sister's birthday, which was the day before. Her birthday was on Saturday. So it was a full weekend. What about you?
Well, happy belated Father's Day. My dad is way too cool for me.
Yeah.
And he and my mom are currently on a boat off the coast of Santorini.
Buddy, that's tough living there.
Happy Father's Day to him.
Seriously, man. Hello, Grace. What's up?
Yeah, we know he's having a happy Father's Day.
No doubt.
They're sending me pictures.
Yeah, I bet.
This is the Parthenon. And I'm like, I'm in Costco. Our lives are very different.
That's right.
No, but they're doing great. And my husband, his father passed earlier this year. Thank you. It's been
a tough one.
Sad for everybody, but
tough.
My husband had a great idea to do something really beautiful in his dad's memory. His dad was this fabulous cook.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. He makes this squash casserole where
oh wow.
It is, I know who gets excited about squash, right? My husband makes fun of me for how much I love zucchini.
Yeah, we like it in our house too.
Okay, it is melted cheese. It is just goodness. And my husband cooked this wonderful feast. That was his dad's favorite recipes last
cool.
night. And we had some friends over. It was really, it's sad, but it was wonderful. And if you're wondering why I look 5 pounds heavier, that's on the squash casserole right there. We're going to blame my husband for that.
No, I love it. That's so cool. That is a great way to reflect. So here's something similar, kind of in that same vein. My dad passed on my wife and I's 18th anniversary.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It felt like time was standing still for a minute about 6 years ago. But my wife summed it up just like you're saying with your husband. She was like, this is. Make sure you look at this through the right perspective. Now we celebrate a wonderful marriage and a wonderful life lived. And she just, it was she, like I needed that, and unprompted, man, it just came out. She's brilliant and a sweetheart, my best friend and my true north, and all those things.
It's
and
amazing.
That's just one example of why. So I know exactly what you mean when you have those beautiful moments, like cooking your father-in-law's favorite meal. It's just the tiniest things that will put a smile on your face and take some of that sting out.
Oh, yeah. And, we were doing pretty well yesterday, and I get in the car this morning to drive here, and there's Tim McGraw on the radio, Live Like You Were Dying, and I'm like, oh, no. I'm not gonna cry on 285. Not here, not now.
It'll happen. Yeah. Sometimes that's the thing about music. I'm such a music guy. That's the thing about music. It'll hit you when you least expect it.
Exactly.
When that right song is playing. Like, for me, it's a George Strait song. And it doesn't really necessarily any of them. It's just because my dad loved George Strait. So anytime I'm thinking about him and one of those will pop on and it's like, boom, whoop.
Oh my gosh, it'll get you. It'll absolutely get you. And especially with being so close to the stadium. He was a huge Braves fan, as is my husband.
Yeah.
And the last Braves game he saw while he was alive, we know now he's got the best view out of everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
But the last he was alive, they went on a walk-off home run.
Oh, wow.
And the next Braves game that when my husband and I, we'd been traveling, we got back from Florida, we saw his mom, and the next Braves game we watched together, they also won on a walk-off home run.
That's so cool. A little God wink there, maybe.
Yep. Oh, totally. We're like, we think we know who had a say in the lineup tonight.
That's right.
I haven't ever heard that God wink. I like that.
Yeah. It's just
when things are just a little too good to be
exactly right.
Coincidence.
Exactly. So yes, and we have so many similarities. I grew up watching the Braves with my dad every night. We watched the Braves every night.
Oh, wow.
There was not a night in my house that the Braves weren't on TV or on the radio. And the last thing I did with him was he was in the hospital, but we watched the Braves game. Then the next day passed. But they mean so much. The Braves are so much bigger than a baseball team. For so many people, and obviously there's a connection for you, there's a connection for me, and I bet if you open the phone lines at 404-741-1230, a lot of people would have lots of stories about watching the Braves with moms and dads and grandpas and grandmas, and the Braves are so important in people's lives. Mm-hmm. Win, lose, doesn't matter. It's just the fact that you watch the Braves, your favorite team, with that person you love.
And it's the culture around it, right?
Yeah, for sure
I've been fortunate to travel internationally a good bit, although not super recently, but everywhere you go, you will see Braves gear.
Yeah.
You see Yankees gear the most.
For sure.
I think New York is global. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
But I'm always surprised at,
How
you'll
many
see,
Braves
you're like,
hats you
I am
see.
a gazillion miles from Atlanta, and you got like a Braves fan. It's awesome.
No, it is great. That TBS was something else. They created so many Braves fans from coast to coast and internationally too, because of the accessibility that they gave that team to people that weren't able to watch their teams on TV. That's why you find pockets of Braves fans in Colorado and Kansas and California and just out west, because TBS was, it was a national broadcasting company that was based here in Atlanta and just carried the Braves.
It's amazing. I've heard Hawaii is like this hidden hub of Braves fans, just because you could get the games out there.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me even a little bit. Now, to the craziness, now that we know that Father's Day went well, and it did, my son played ball last night, tore it up, just played really, really well. That's all I was keeping up with it on my phone. It's just fun. I'm going to show you a picture I'll show it to the YouTube folks too. But if you're listening now and can't see it, if you know what Game Changer is, then you'll know how me and my wife spent most of last evening.
There he is, he's batting.
It's just little dots, and then it kind of gives you the update. It's like ESPN. They have a version of this where you can just kind of watch the game as in progress.
Yes.
You don't physically watch it, but it kind of just gives you the dot. That we were married to our phone for about 2 hours. 2.5 hours. Just watching.
You're saying he tore it up. He had a great game?
He played really well.
Amazing.
So we're really happy. And that's what I was, when we were goofing, what do you want for Father's Day? I was like, Jacob, just play well. That's all. And he did. And his girlfriend had come up to see him play, which is real cool. I know he was thrilled by that. But aside from the good things that were happening, there was obviously some craziness going on with the hashtag No Kings Day, and there were some 2,000 sites around. They said 2,000 places. I don't know that I'm going to call this a huge success, though. I got to be honest. It didn't come off as you got one person dead in Salt Lake City. You got a person shot. Some man drove a truck through a protest in another city. Let me see if I can figure out what it is. Yeah, so things I don't think turned out as well as they had hoped, and I don't know that as many people attended as they thought might, but yeah. So when you got people dying, and then Los Angeles, there was the biggest gathering in California for sure. The blue cities probably had major turnouts, but for people to die and you having to shoot tear gas into the crowds because they're destroying the city. I don't know that would be a success for me. If I'm gauging this, how do we gauge success? That's not it.
I think the left is taking the L on this one big time, because I know No Kings was like their whole banner, right? Okay, they're the only people calling Trump a king.
That's right.
Nobody else is doing that on the right, so they're kind of making fools of themselves out there. And then, okay, we're protesting a king. Why? Because he happened to be born on the same day as the U.S. Army.
Yeah, right.
79 years ago. And
that parade, though, that they took such exception with had been planned under the Biden administration.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
No.
So people were just in the streets to get their steps in. It was I'm doing this for my Apple Watch. I'm doing this for my Instagram.
I can't figure them out, man. I can't. So Tim Young, who's a comedian and does a podcast, he posted somebody else's screenshot. No kings, but put your mask on.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
No kings, but make sure you don't come out of your house. You're locked down. No kings, but I'm firing you for not being vaccinated. No kings, but you can't go outside. No kings, we don't accept your exemptions from your shots. No kings, but you'll need a whole bunch of boosters, and if you don't get it, again, we'll take your job away from you. No king, but we're shutting your business down during COVID. No kings, because we don't want you worshiping the real king. Of course, a nod to Jesus himself. No king, but your family members will die alone in a hospital. No king, but I'm opening a hotline so you can tattle on your neighbors. No kings, but mandates galore. No kings, but you're responsible for my health. No kings, but social distance 6 feet apart, even though that's an arbitrary number. And no kings, but no family gatherings over 10. So if you're thinking about the no kings thing, maybe you should keep that in mind.
That one hits hard. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's recent memory, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure
some
it
days
is.
it feels like a million years ago, but you talk about the lockdowns. And D.C., they closed the gyms, but they kept the tattoo shops open.
Liquor stores, too. And look, I love a good bourbon and rum if I can get one. But they kept the liquor stores open, but you couldn't go to church. They kept the tattoo parlors open, but they put sand in the skateboard parks in California.
That broke my heart.
It's just they would go out on the beach and arrest people for jogging by themselves.
It was insanity.
Yeah. So I'm not sure that the whole no kings thing has much teeth or has many teeth.
Doesn't really work, especially not from the party who said everyone has to go vote for this candidate who none of you got to choose in a primary. Because the last guy was really sick, but we didn't tell you. And we tried to cover it up until we couldn't. And then everybody saw. Yeah, there is no cogent argument to be made there.
Yeah. I just, I don't have a lot of respect for that. But here's the thing. They weren't trying to target me anyway. I mean, when it's paid for partially by the CCP, and then there's money filtered through NGOs that came from taxpayer dollars to pay for this. George Soros had a big hand in it. And there's another man who is an American citizen living in China who's a billionaire. His name's on the tip of my tongue. Doesn't matter. he's a big funder of this and a big defender of the CCP. You got Tim Walz talking about how the CCP are the moral authority in the world.
We're like, on what, Tim?
Right. Do you just overlook the Uyghur people being enslaved, actually enslaved? Not this whole, my ancestors were slaves because all of our ancestors were slaves at some point or other. But you have the Chinese physically keeping 2 or 3 million Uyghur people who are Muslim. Mm-hmm. They are kept in concentration camps and putting together the things that you buy from Temu and Shine. And you're telling me, Tim Walz, that it's those people that have the moral authority?
I think we should keep China as far away from all of this as humanly possible.
Enemy.
And he's like, invite him in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that not the reddest of red flags?
Yes. Well, him going there, paid for by the Chinese, taking school children paid for by the Chinese to going on your honeymoon to communist China. There's lots of red flags there for me.
I didn't know he honeymooned there.
Oh yeah, he and his wife did their honeymoon there in communist China.
Interesting.
You're talking about a red flag. That's
literal red flag, like the Chinese flag.
Yeah, very red. Yeah, so that. Tim probably needs to sit this one out.
I would suggest he stay very quiet right about now. But yeah, I mean, none of these protests were organic, right? It was this huge website. It was this huge media push. There were a bunch of groups behind it. And one of them was Randy Weingarten's teacher union.
Oh, my goodness. She was speaking out this weekend. We'll get to some of that in a little bit.
You talk about the lockdowns during COVID. She was the architect of the school lockdowns and keeping them closed. I was in the education department when COVID was going on, and we were saying, get the schools open safely. We're giving you the funding to do it. We're giving you the guidance to do it. We're giving you the flexibility to do it in the way that works best for your students. Because what a reopening looks like in Anchorage, Alaska could be really different than what a reopening looks like in
Atlanta.
Right. Or Miami, Tulsa, anywhere.
Right.
Like every school has such different needs.
Yeah.
We gave them every opportunity to do the right things for their students. And Randy Weingarten and her buddies said, nope, no, you can't. And now she's saying no, Kings.
Yeah.
I don't buy it.
Yeah, well, it's just hard to take these people serious. And I don't know that I think the American people take them serious. The reason I would say that is their polling continues to trend downwards. It continues to trend in the wrong direction, as if people will think even less of them. I didn't know you could think less of them, but people continue to think less of them. And this is why. I mean, we're seeing it on the monitor here in the studio. Los Angeles, Washington, Philadelphia, Chicago, all blue cities, and all, tear gas, all with police officers having to fight these peaceful protesters, quote unquote peaceful protesters. So it's hard for me to take that serious. You can't tell me that you're in favor of something that's going to better the country while simultaneously destroying the country, or trying to.
Yeah, I don't know what they're in favor of. All of their signs are no Trump, no ICE.
Well, that's it.
No this, no that. Okay, well, what's your alternative? I don't think they have one.
They don't. But that's the thing. There is no alternative. Their alternative is anything but this, anything but Trump, anything but ICE. Yet, what would be the anything? How do you fill that void? Who do you put in that place if Donald Trump's not there? But you got to remember, he was duly elected, so there's a little issue there with the old Constitution. They would like for Trump to be gone.
Yes.
Well, but 78 million, almost 78 million Americans voted for him. You were in office. You also had the Senate. You were in office, had the Senate, and were voted out in a landslide. All swing states voted for Trump. He won the popular vote. He won the Electoral College, which hadn't been done by a Republican in decades.
It's been a while, yeah.
So, again, you're saying we don't want this, but the rest of America does.
Exactly.
And voted for it.
These No Kings protester people, they were outvoted in a democratic process. They don't like that democratic process very much right now and think that it should be changed to give them what they want. And they're calling us the authoritarians?
Yes, exactly. Right.
Sorry, excuse me?
It's not
look in a mirror?
Yeah, exactly. Let's look up the definition, because I think we would find a picture of them right next to it. The Insider game we planned last week was glorious. More reason for you to listen and get involved with the Morning Extra on Extra 1063. We'll do that next. We got the headlines, too. The 6 o'clock hour is brought to you by Subaru of Gwinnett.
America drives the world economy. And with ongoing global trade deals, tariffs doing their job, and inflation dropping, we force the world to step up. So don't let the mainstream media spin it to you any differently. Get the news that matters to you from Xtra 106.3 FM and the Xtra app.
Took a walk yesterday with my wife and our puppy dog, and man, we started sweating like crazy. It was warm. It was humid because of all the rain that we've had. And I can look at my phone real quick. And we don't give you weather every 6 minutes here on Xtra, but we will tell you that it's supposed to rain every day this week, with about the lowest I see is today with 40% chance of rain, 65 tomorrow, 55 Wednesday, 45 Thursday, 45 Friday. Finally, some sunshine on Saturday, but then rain Sunday, Monday, Tuesday as well. Point is, heat and humidity. The humidity is what will tear you up and make your house just miserable if your AC ain't working. Well, that's why you call Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Chuck and his team do such a great job. They come out twice a year and do the maintenance on your HVAC so it runs efficiently and lasts as long as it can. Those things are expensive to replace. Everybody knows that's not a big secret. They're expensive. So you want yours to last as long as you can possibly get it to. So get that maintenance agreement today by calling Central Heating and Air Conditioning. They are your Atlanta Carrier experts. Carrier products, Carrier warranty, Carrier peace of mind. They do it all. So call them today, and $10 of that maintenance agreement will go to Skyland Trail. That is a organization here in Atlanta that provides expert evidence-based treatment to help those facing mental health challenges find a path to recovery. Get Carrier products with Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Here's how. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com.
Need a great mover? Atlanta Peach Movers. There's no tree in our name. A full-service moving company referred by realtors. Local, long distance, storage, and packing. Moving soon? Call Atlanta Peach Movers. 770-441-3232. That's 770-441-3232. Or book online at atlantapeachmovers.com. Atlanta Peach Movers, proud partners of the Atlanta Realtors Association and official mover of the Atlanta Braves.
Neil Borch here. Maybe you've already taken the steps to improve your health, maybe save your life. You're using a CPAP for your sleep apnea. I've been using one for well over 20 years. So right now I'm here to tell you about a source for CPAPs and CPAP supplies here in the Atlanta area. CPAPs, etc. They're in Alpharetta. They have whatever you need. Roddy and Sharon are your CPAP experts, and they'll ship nationwide. More information, CPAPs.com.
Stop dreaming, start driving. Get the gift that keeps on giving with the Mercedes-Benz Dream Days sales event at RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Each of our certified pre-owned vehicles undergoes an exhaustive process of analysis, inspection, and reconditioning until it meets the uncompromising standards of RBM of Atlanta and Mercedes-Benz. For a limited time, get special financing from as low as 2.99% APR. In addition, you'll receive unlimited confidence with Mercedes-Benz's unlimited mileage warranty, delivering continued assurance for up to 7 years. Visit us online to see one of the largest and most comprehensive certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz inventories in Georgia. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details and see how to qualify. Not all offers apply to all vehicles, and special financing available only to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Services through June 30th, 2025. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit us at rbmofatlanta.com or call us at 770-390-0700 for details.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. If you're over 50 and tired of your wireless bill getting higher and higher, there are 4 things to consider. 1, how much data are you really using? As we get older, we use less data on our wireless phone, but you're probably still paying for an unlimited plan that was designed for 20-somethings. 2, if you see Get a Phone on Us, get your sneakers out and run the other way. No one is giving you a free phone. You are paying for that phone over time with an overpriced rate plan and a long-term commitment. 3, check the fine print on that $15 month plan. It's probably an intro price that'll double or triple later. You might even have to pay for several months of service up front. Number 4, 4, beware of cable company wireless plans. Most of your usage will be on Wi-Fi instead of 5G, and your calls and battery life could suffer. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide service without the big wireless bill. Our plans start at just $20 a month.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Monday, June 16th. The No Kings protests and rallies held on Saturday across the U.S. had almost 20 different locations in Georgia. At least 8 people were arrested in DeKalb County on charges of obstruction of an officer and unlawful assembly. Police used tear gas to disperse the crowd after protesters began marching on Chamblee-Tugger Road towards 285. The body of a 27-year-old man was recovered from Lake Lanier on Sunday after a 24-hour search. The Department of Natural Resources said Ramon Diaz-Soria jumped into the water with a life vest, but it was not secured. And an Atlanta woman is warning commuters after she was scammed out of $800 by the Atlanta Water Boys, who have been known to aggressively sell water at intersections around the city. She said she attempted to send them $5 using a QR code on Cash App, but the code withdrew $800 from her account. Today's weather partly cloudy with scattered thunderstorms this evening. Temperatures will reach the high 80s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne for Extra 106.3.
It's time to laugh. It's time to smile. And I'm told that this is the segment we're going to get it done. This is the one that's going to put a smile on your face.
I am so proud of our listeners. Just start right there. And we'll get to why in just a moment. But one of the things that programming directors, and Devin, take note of this, one of the things that programming directors do not like is when they don't get your show. They don't understand
it. Yep.
Like, we have a programming director in the building, in Good Strong Andy. There's a lot of elements of Chuck and Chernoff. He's like, I don't understand it. I don't get what y'all are talking about. When I used to produce that show, we would have inside joke after inside joke, and you either got it or you didn't. And that all came from when I worked in Dallas. At the ticket, we had our own language. If you start talking about the P1s, and you're like, what is a P1? What's a radio term for somebody who only listens to the station? So they were always known as the P1s. And, then had little terms like a greeting and a goodbye would be baby arm. It had its own language, all right? And so by the time I moved to Atlanta and I start working with Chuck and Chernoff, we started to have organically these things that we would just say to one another. Like, there was a running back here, Steven Jackson. A guy might go to the Hall of Fame one day. And he didn't have he had what he called an epiphany.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
He's like, I had an epiphany. And we all kind of were like, what did he say?
And then you start using that.
And then on the show, it became, I've had an epiphany. And people would say, what are you talking about? There was another person who talked about, he was trying to say, I'm trying to take my hat off to this person. But he said, I take my hand off to this person. And so that became he had a really good game. I take my hand off to him.
And then we had our own version of it with Neil Bortz a little bit.
And so with Neil, we were basically doing this bit where the joke has been, it started on, again, that station in Dallas, and then it started showing up on a couple different places, like Justified, the show that's on FX. And it was about mixing up the word onus with something different. And so I'd been joking around about it with Tug. I'd played in the audio. And so this was about 4 months ago?
It was April Fool's Day, actually.
Okay. All right, there we go.
Memory,
April Fool's Day, we have Neil Bortz on with us. And we now decide, here's the moment where we're going to mix up this word and see what happens. It's like what Tug has told me for a long time. The anus is on you to take care of that.
It is.
The what is on me?
Well, the anus.
The anus?
Yeah.
Onus.
Oh, onus. Yes, that's right. You misspoke, Los.
Oh, sorry. So
his response was glorious.
That is now
anus.
It's still funny to this day.
A huge question mark at the end of that.
The anus.
So
Play that 15 times.
The joke has been, let's just keep mixing this up. And for those of you that are new to this show, when you hear us mix up onus and anus, know that it's intentional. And I know the audience keeps growing. And so just so you understand where it came from, it was earlier this year on Neil. And now, we look at each other like there's an opportunity to say anus here. It's like, well, the anus is on you to deal with that.
We had Chris Carr on. I was wondering. I saw you get a little wry smile towards the end of that.
You know, the anus is on you to come over here and tell us about Georgia football.
Can you imagine saying that to a man that's about to run for governor of the state of Georgia? That's why it's so great, because you can work it in when no one expects it and with people in really high places.
The anus.
So there's that. Well, one of the other ones that we have had for years down the dial, and this goes back to Mike Francesa. Now, if you don't know who he is, Mike and the Mad Dog were like the original guys of sports radio when it started in New York. That was a show, Mike and the Mad Dog. So Mike Francesa was on the air for like 30 or 40 years, which also meant that as he got older, his mistakes were more funny. So Mike Francesa, they had brought up one person with him about like, this person just passed away. And Mike Francesa started guessing on the air how he passed away. Like, he's asking his producer. And one of the ways he just goes, car accident? And for some reason, that stuck out to me. And I pulled it, and it became like the giant question mark to always ask people. So if you heard the start of the show today, when Tug starts talking about all the, different people from Iran who have been, removed from this earth in these strikes, and Jerry just goes, car accident? It's like perfectly timed, wonderfully done.
Good. Laid it out there so well. Grand slam.
All right, so
I do believe I have that.
Oh, if you've got it.
Yeah,
if you've got it pulled, like, I'd love to hear that again. That
great.
So great. Perfectly timed, perfectly executed. It's the perfect use of car accident.
And especially in a serious moment.
Yes, because we're like, man, there's this bombing, and this is what they did, and it was an operation involving the Israelis, and it might cause some sort of turmoil in the region, and now these 4 men are now dead. And then Jerry's like, here's the perfect opportunity for me to cause a problem here. He just saw it coming.
Yeah.
Working on it.
Okay, well, just give me the thumbs up when you're good. And so what happened is that created this scenario where we started talking about, all right, so how do we work this not only into our show, because we started doing that yesterday and having some fun with it, but then we started joking around about, okay, how would we work into Kimmer's show? So Jerry, I know you're working on that. Let's get to the other piece of audio because this one's going to take too long. Let's go to yesterday on the show when we're wrapping up the show and we start talking about, what was it, Brian Wilson?
Yes, the Beach Boys.
And car accident. Take a listen to what that sounded like yesterday.
Tug and Los on the Morning Xtra, mourning the loss of Brian Wilson. The great singer and the man that changed music altogether passed yesterday. It's one of those, everybody was posting something about Brian Wilson, so I actually held back and didn't. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, everybody's doing it. Okay, I gotta
car accident?
No. No.
Riding his Harley?
No, none of those. They've actually not said what but he had dementia, so maybe I'm thinking it's probably something to do with that. That's just my guess. I don't know. But I expect that's what we'll hear the next few days or so.
Car accident?
Just out of nowhere. They're leading you down the wrong path. You realize that, right? My man's dressed in a suit back there. Y'all having him ask crazy questions about Brian Wilson.
I think he just made the entire show. Like, we were looking for that cherry on top.
We just found it.
And it was Devin in the back room just randomly asking if it was a car accident.
What made you do that, Devin? What?
Don't reveal your sources, Devin. You were looking into it.
Again, the word.
Was it?
And now it's even better.
Yeah,
diabolical.
Yeah, he's back there. He's like Montgomery Burns on The Simpsons.
Devin, you have my permission throughout the remainder of this week while you're with us. If any person comes up who's passed away, you just ask that very simple question.
Car accident?
Car accident? Question mark.
Mm-hmm. No, it wasn't that. But welcome to the show, Devin.
I'd like for you to play along at home, like as Kimmer goes through his list of people.
Because it'll happen.
Car accident?
Yeah.
Call in.
Yeah, 404-741-1230.
Yeah, call him and be like, he passed from a car accident?
And you may have to mislead Flounder. And I know this sounds terrible.
And you shouldn't do it because he does take offense to that.
Yes, but you may have to. If you're trying to get through, tell him you want to talk about.
No, tell him you have a question about that person that Kimmer just brought up.
There you go.
So if he says, now if it's Brian Wilson, you just call in, say, Kimmer, I had a question about Brian Wilson. Was it a car accident? And no matter who he brings up, it might be Napoleon. Napoleon died on this day. Kimmer, I wanted to ask about Napoleon. Car accident?
And see how he handles it. Let's see if he's like, car accident, Napoleon.
Okay, so why is that so important to have? Because that was how this played out.
That's the actual question that got asked yesterday?
You just got to listen to this.
Okay.
So you might remember from 2 years ago when we had our golf tournament, we met a gentleman named Vernon. Now, Vernon, he was the one, he signed up solo. And so they were looking to put him with a team. And we were like, why don't we just take Vernon with us?
That's right. I remember Vernon.
And so Vernon, good golfer, good dude, ends up jumping in. Well, I get a text message out of nowhere yesterday, 6:30. Los, it's been a while. It's golfer Vernon. Of course, I got his picture in here and everything else. And he said, and he told me when we played, I was like, yeah, of course, Vernon. Like, I had a good time. Like, we've only had a couple of these tournaments. I'm like, you signed up as a solo.
Yeah.
They told us, hey, there's a solo. We're like, throw him in with us. It says, anyway, with about 10 minutes left in Kimmer's show today, I think I completed the Morning Guys Challenge.
Let's go.
Now, he starts describing what he said, and then he points out, you guys are doing great on the side of on the airwaves. Tell everybody I said hi and hit them well. So this is now the audio. Vernon calling in. He's answering and taking part in like a trivia thing that they're doing when it came to baseball. And then listen to Vernon sidetrack the entire show.
5:53 to the phones, taking priority. Vernon, you're on the radio, man. How's it going? What do you think? What's up, sir?
Hey, Kimmer,
Yes.
I enjoyed the show. I had some Abner Doubleday trivia.
All right, sir.
He was actually a general in the Union Army. At
yes,
the Battle of Gettysburg.
Yes, he was. Absolutely. I believe that part is true.
According to the Morning Guys, I think he died in an auto accident.
Well, I don't know. I do not have any information on how he passed away. But in an auto accident, well, would have been. Well, yeah. I don't know. Well, anyway, thank you, Vernon. I appreciate it.
Just as you said, Tug. Just as you said.
Just this moment of just disbelief that he got right here.
I think he died in an auto accident.
Well, I don't know. I don't.
Not positive about that.
Napoleon, well, he'll probably be real confused for a moment. And yes, poor Kimmer was like, auto accident.
What else has got talking about?
He was in the Civil War. Car accident.
Who would have thought? Such a simple...
Just a simple question of 2 words. Car accident?
Would cause complete chaos.
I think he died in an auto accident.
Well, I don't know. I do not have any information on how he passed away.
Have any information about that? Unsure about that right now. I'll have to do some fact checking. I'll get back with you, Vernon.
Oh, Lord. Vernon,
that's a great question.
That's Braves tickets, by the way.
Did he actually look up? Did he die in a car accident?
I have no idea. Because they just kept it moving. They moved on right to the next caller.
Yeah, right.
And I'm sure there was a giant question mark of, does anyone look up if Abner Doubleday died in a car accident?
Because something tells me no. Just my immediate reaction.
He served in the Civil War. Then he died in a car accident.
Seems unlikely. Those 2 things go together.
Vernon,
brilliant.
Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant.
Like, we're gonna get it. We'll get you a couple Braves tickets. We'll make this thing work.
I believe there's a hot dog.
And a hot dog, yes.
A gift card to buy Vernon hot dog.
Man, I'm just so glad that after a couple years where we didn't have any like big interactions, and Vernon's like, hey, you guys are doing great. And by the way,
I want to help contribute to your delinquency.
I did it. I'm the one. Go look it up.
Absolute genius.
Oh, thank you, Vernon.
And if I recall, wasn't Vernon like a doctor or something? Do you remember what Vernon did?
I don't remember what Vernon did. I just remember he was the solid golfer in our group.
He was the good one, yes, for sure.
Vernon's short game was really solid all around the green.
You want to hear this morning?
Oh, yeah. Let's start off the morning. It was hilarious.
As a matter of fact, there is an IRGC commander that is dead, a strategic commander that is dead, a nuclear scientist, and an ex-atomic nuclear energy chief dead in Iran this morning.
So if you were sleeping,
car accident?
Let's go.
Well done. Oh,
Grand slam.
So well done.
Absolute grand slams.
That's how we had to start off the morning.
Dude, grand slams all around, Los.
Car accident?
Brilliant. Brilliant putting it all together, Dre, with your timing. And even Devin in the back to contribute. Dude, this is a good day. This is Friday. This is what Friday's supposed to be here on Extra 106.3.
Don't do that to Kimmer ever again.
No, never again. Never. Just wanted to give you a good laugh this morning because it was so funny on Friday, and even Angela was in here laughing. So hopefully you enjoyed that too. So much fun and so much joy, especially after a crazy week last week. It seems like we're starting a crazy week this week, but we're going to get through it together, finding ways to smile, finding ways to be positive and encouraging here on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. For those who forget, Trump's instinct is peace. That's what he's shooting for, even in Iran. Think about the things that have gone on with the Israelis and the Iranians, and certainly I'm on Team Israel, without a doubt. But think about some of the things that Donald Trump had the opportunity to do, but said, nope, I want to give peace a chance. We'll talk about that next on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Here are your sports headlines for Monday, June 16th. The Braves have the day off today after they dropped the final game in the home series against the Colorado Rockies on Sunday, 10-1. The Mets come to town tomorrow evening. Spencer Schwellenbach will take the mound against David Peterson. First pitch is set for 7:15. In the NBA, the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder are tied at 2 games apiece for the championship after the Thunder beat the Pacers 111-104 Friday night. Game 5 is set for tonight in Oklahoma. Tip-off is scheduled for 8:30. And in the Stanley Cup Finals, the Florida Panthers lead the Edmonton Oilers 3-2. The Panthers beat the Oilers Saturday night, scoring 5-2 for Edmonton. The series picks up again tomorrow night in Miami. The puck drops at 8 o'clock. With your sports headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
Gentlemen, listen up. When it's not hard, it's really hard. Did you know that 50% of men over 50 have some form of ED? It's true, and I'm one of them. ED followed me everywhere. Heck, even my initials are ED. I'm Dr. Eric Deal from Total Body Therapy of Georgia, and I know ED. It can lead to feelings of embarrassment, stress, and sadness. But there's good news. I can fix it. I fixed mine, and I can fix yours too. At Total Body Therapy of Georgia, we are experts in the P-shot, testosterone replacement, regenerative therapy, Trimix to create an erection, and more. Guys, ED won't get better on its own, but I can help you today. Call us at 404-777-1911. That's 404-777-1911, or learn about us more online at tbtofga.com. So take it from me, ED, Dr. Eric Deal at Total Body Therapy of Georgia. Call 404-777-1911 or online at tbtofga.com.
Advance and protect. What is that in retirement planning? Well, Coach Pete is here to explain advance and protect.
What's the advance and protect strategy? Well, it's a way for you to share and participate in the gains of the market. Not all the gains, by the way. You have to trade. The trade-off is you're not going to get all the gains, but here's what you're trading it off for. You're not getting any of the losses. Therefore, you really are advancing and protecting. Or if the market's down for 3 or 4 years, you're protecting and protecting and protecting. And when it decides to go back up, you're advancing. So if you're protected when down markets and going up in up markets, you really can't lose. And then you turn that lump sum you have into a lifetime income you can never outlive, and now you're in control of your life all the way through.
A comprehensive review with Coach Pete's local trusted advisor, Craig Chandler, can show you how to get in control of your retirement. 800-419-6164. 800-419-6164. Craig Chandler, Chandler Wealth Management, 800-419-6164.
Hey, it's Front Office Lowe's for True Prep. True Prep, Atlanta's preparedness superstore, is not only the go-to location for security and preparedness, it's also the hotspot for incredible savings. Visit True Prep's new deals page to discover hot sales and clearance items on firearms, prepping gear, and more. Then, check out the used and consignment page for top quality guns and gear at unbeatable prices. Both pages update automatically throughout the day as new products are added. So check back often to snag the best offers. Check them out now at trueprep.com. That's TRUprep.com.
Information security engineer positions offered by Motrex LLC in Alpharetta, Georgia.
responsible for providing technical guidance within an enterprise's information security and compliance environment and recommending security and compliance measures to safeguard its valuable information assets. Domestic travel required up to 10% of working time. Submit resume and transcripts to talent.acquisition@motrexllc.com and reference ID 8491342.
The older I get, the more I think about trust. I think about the people in my life who have my trust and earned my trust, and the trust that I have placed in some people who I later learned abused that trust. I know we're alike in that way. We don't trust a lot of people anymore. It's like we're all Ronald Reagan, trust but always verify to make sure we're not making a mistake. I find it a little exhausting, quite honestly, and that's why I started realestateagentsitrust.com. I didn't have good experiences with buying and selling my homes. So we built Real Estate Agents I Trust to introduce you to one of the thousands of agents all over the country that we work with that we have verified that they will help you have the most successful and good real estate transaction possible. Our network agents share our sensibilities, have great track records, are good and decent people, and I trust them to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're moving across town or across the country, visit realestateagentsitrust.com. The name says it all. realestateagentsitrust.com.
Don't let your afternoon drive get bogged down with traffic and weather breaks. Just enjoy the Kimmer Show from 3 to 6 p.m.
Donald Trump, the former billionaire playboy, a real estate developer from New York, is all of a sudden president of the United States again, and America spoke because we want to go back to, close the borders, let's get the economy going again, to go back to normal, values in America, stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, the Democrats can't stop. They're the ones who got Donald Trump almost murdered twice.
Don't worry, it's only the Kimmer on Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra. Angela Morbido is in for Front Office Los with the Defense Freedom Institute. She was in Washington, D.C. for about 13 years working for the Department of Education, spokeswoman there, and now joining us on the Morning Extra. It's always fun to have her in. And this is a thing that I think you'll agree with. I do believe Donald Trump's first instinct is peace. That's what he campaigned on. As a businessman, if you're negotiating, that's something that you would probably want to keep in your back pocket. Is let me not attack these people immediately. Let me hold back the big guns. Let's talk about this first. And then I heard this yesterday, and I'll play it for you. It was from Fox News Channel. Peter Ducey was the reporter, and he talked about that Donald Trump, over the last couple days, stopped a plan by Israel, or vetoed it, if you will, to take out the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei.
President Trump did, in fact, in the last couple of days, nix a plan that the Israelis were putting together to assassinate the supreme leader of Iran. So we can put a bow on that, and he is telegraphing the way that he will frame this fight between Israel and Iran once he meets with the other G7 leaders. Part of a long truth social, he says, we will have peace soon between Israel and Iran. Many calls and meetings now taking place. I do a lot, never get credit for anything, but that's okay. The people understand, make the Middle East great again.
Well, I don't know if it'll ever be great, but at least it's not falling apart. And he gets to then speak with those other Middle Eastern countries going, look, I told you I'm trying to work this thing out. And I believe those other Middle Eastern countries are really just fine with what Israel is doing there because they're intimidated by the craziness of the Iranians, too.
Mm-hmm. They seem fine with it. And for a place that is certainly unfriendly to Israel, they're not acting like enemies right now. I mean, Hezbollah is doing nothing. Iran funneled something like 100 billion, I think, million?
Huge
some
numbers.
Crazy amount of money into this group in southern Lebanon because they're right on the border with Israel, and that was sort of Iran's insurance policy, them and Hamas, right? Well, Hamas is now decimated because of the aftermath of October 7th. Israel said,
no
think
more
again.
Of this.
We're not doing this. Hezbollah is, essentially not I don't want to say it's not a thing anymore because it is, but they're not fighting back. And you've got Syria allowing Israel to use their airspace. Same with the Saudis.
Yeah, that's right. And the Saudis, they came out with a statement in late Friday that basically said, we condemn the attacks on Iran because they had to.
Right.
I mean, that's they're our neighbor. We're going to say this, though we have no feeling either way. We're probably just fine, as I said, just fine with it because of the Iranians and the craziness that is that. And look, the Saudis have turned into a world-class... I mean, if you look at Riyadh, it looks like any other world-class city around the globe. It looks like, Chicago or New York City. It's a very technologically advanced city. People are living normal lives. They don't want that to change.
Right.
And so they're probably hoping, and I feel like I understand why Donald Trump said what he did, not only with the goodwill for the other Middle Eastern countries, but we're not good at nation building.
No.
Over the years, we've really, really struggled with that.
Not our thing.
Right now, Iran's as weak as it's ever been, and I think he's betting on the people rising up to take their country back. Because there are people that remember the 70s when Iran was just a normal country and was, a regular place that people would be able to go and visit, and the Iranian people lived a normal life.
Yeah, I mean, there are millions of women over there who are pretty eager to light their hijabs on fire. Now, there are others who may choose to wear it, but there are plenty of women who don't like being forced to.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of one symbol of the larger problem is women are treated really badly, generally all over the Middle East.
Yeah,
in
no
Israel,
doubt.
you're good.
Yeah, that's the only place.
In Israel, it's the only place to be a woman in the Middle East and to be treated
for that matter,
as an equal.
To be for anybody in the Middle East. That's the only place you can, believe whatever religion speaks to your heart. It's the only place you can live freely, make decisions that are yours to make. Everywhere else in the Middle East is very, very structured and not very good for women for sure, but not very good for anybody.
Yeah, not a fun place to be.
So that's why Riyadh is the one. And I'm not saying the princes in Saudi Arabia are great folks. I'm not trying to give them the pat on the back, but they do at least live a relatively modern lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I think the Iranians, and I think that's my bet, that Donald Trump is hoping that the Iranian people are like, we remember it and we want to get back there. And right now, I mean, the Ayatollah, they're decimated for the most part. They've gotten off, I think, 200 missiles maybe. And they've shot into Tel Aviv, but again, it was into a civilian sector. It wasn't even at a military installation. So they're just willy-nilly just shooting as much as they can. But so many of the Iranian upper end of the ruling class have been taken out.
They're just gone.
They're just gone. And it's interesting. Over the weekend, I learned that Israel had been planning this for a few years now, and they had Mossad planted throughout the country. And so when they decided to go, these dudes went and they blew up a lot of it. When you see those big trucks with the rockets on them?
Yes.
That's pretty much the only way the Iranians have to launch. And so they took out all those trucks. So they have a bunch of missiles that they could use, but they don't have the trucks to carry them to launch them. Wow. So that was the wisdom there. And then you start talking about going door to door because they knew the apartment complex that all the top military brass and all the nuclear scientists lived in, and they went door to door and pop, got rid of a lot of people.
Amazing. The images coming out of this and the intelligence they must have had, and these Israeli operatives who risked their lives, we will never know their names, but they risked their lives to make this happen and to try to save their country and bring some level of peace to the Middle East. To me, there's no more striking image of how strong Israeli intelligence is than the apartment buildings where you're like, oh, that must have been somebody's bedroom window, because there is one window blown out with smoke coming out of it, and the rest of the building is... Yeah, it's golden. It's good.
No, it is. It's unbelievable what they were able to pull. I mean, it's nothing short of miraculous.
Yeah, and to your point about the regime change, and we're not going to go in there and nation build, I did see over the weekend somebody in Iran was calling on Elon Musk to turn on Starlink.
And he did. And
cool.
I was surprised at how many people, because you have to have the apparatus that helps you connect, the modem, if you will. Pardon my ignorance on whatever it is, whatever that device is. But apparently there's lots of them in Iran somehow or other. I don't know if they were delivered. Maybe they were brought in knowing that was going to be the ask. I have no idea. It's all speculation on how they got there. But apparently more people than expected have these modems to be able to use the free internet that Elon Musk is providing over the country.
And it can be, we don't need to go install somebody, but if the people there want to rise up, if they want the change and they want to do it themselves, I think it's going to be a huge benefit for the entire Middle East. We just can't play that same game that we've been doing for
We've always failed with that.
long.
We don't do well with that, Angela. And I think that's what Donald Trump is betting on. But there's no doubt the Israelis want regime change.
Of course.
And I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed in Tucker Carlson because he was warmonger this, warmonger that. And I was like, well, wait a minute. You have an opportunity to take out the country that says in their founding documents that Israel must be destroyed. And you wouldn't, if that was the United States of America, I would be like, let's get it done.
Yeah.
I mean, that the Iranians have always said, death to Israel, death to America. Every one of their founding documents say, our goal is to destroy Israel. Why wouldn't you take, what's the reason to hold back there? Another October 7th? Is that what you want us to wait for, Tucker? I like Tucker, but I think he's wrong on this one.
Yeah, I've been a Tucker fan for a long time, but I think he really, really missed this one. Because you look at how Trump is doing this. He is not a neocon. He's actually really, really far from a neocon. He's not saying, oh, yeah, we are, in this fight. We are in this with you. But there has been this mutual respect between Netanyahu and the Trump administration where Trump gave them back in April. He said, Iran, all right, y'all got 60 days.
Yep.
Come clean about your nuke program, start coming into compliance with the international rules. And on day 61, Israel took matters into their own hands.
That's right.
So we've operated kind of in parallel here. This is not our fight to fight. It is not, Iran is not our country to rebuild or build in the first place. But what Israel's doing is a tremendous service to the world.
No question about it. I would even think the Chinese are probably okay with it too. Because the Chinese are another country that helps and sends stuff through Iran and pays for terrorists. But if they get a bomb, they're really, really in the neighborhood of China too. We talked about this last Friday. The Chinese are not going to say that out loud, but there's just something that tells me most people in that region are like, man, the last thing we need is an Iran, the crazies, the crazy mullahs, the extremists with a bomb. That's just me thinking out loud. The No Kings dud for the left is being funded partially by the CCP, says one U.S. representative. Tell you who she is next on Extra 106.3.
Start your day with Tug and Los on the Morning Extra from 6 to 10. Then it's Glenn Beck, Clay and Buck at noon, and the Kimmer Show on your ride home from 3 to 6. And hang out every night for Jesse Kelly at 6 and Jimmy Fela at 9. And stream it all live in crystal clear HD on the Extra 106.3 app.
When it comes to finding the perfect Chevrolet, why settle for anything less than the best? At Jim Ellis Chevrolet, you'll find the largest selection of new and used Chevys in Georgia. From the legendary Silverado to the family-friendly Equinox, Tahoe, and Suburban, and performance icons like the Corvette, you'll find exactly what you need. And at Jim Ellis Chevrolet, they make buying a vehicle hassle-free. No high-pressure sales, just a transparent, customer-first approach to help you find the perfect Chevy. Their finance experts work with you to secure the best terms because buying a car should be exciting, not stressful. But the Jim Ellis commitment doesn't stop when you drive off the lot. Their factory-trained technicians are here to keep your Chevy running at its best with expert service and maintenance.
Shop in person on Peachtree Boulevard or online at JimEllisChevrolet.com and experience the difference.
Jim Ellis Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Jim Ellis, expect the best.
Join the free smoothie party at Tropical Smoothie Cafe on Saturday, June 21st for National Smoothie Day. Tropic Rewards members get a free smoothie with bowl or food purchase. Terms and conditions apply.
Your Atlanta Braves are celebrating family, freedom, and fun this summer, June 27th through July 6th. First up are the Phillies, June 27th through the 29th, presented by Schumann Farms. On Sunday the 29th, the first 3,000 kids will receive a Spencer Strider growth chart. And then the Angels and Orioles come to Truist Park for Independence Week, July 1st through the 6th. The week includes 2 gate giveaways featuring a ceramic coin bank presented by Invesco QQQ and a kid's blinged out A-chain. Plus an epic fireworks show on July 4th and a post-game concert on July 5th featuring popular music artist Chris Tomlin, presented by Chick-fil-A. And fans can enjoy any of these games with the T-Mobile Value Pack, which includes a ticket, snack, and a drink for as low as $30. You can't find a deal better than that this summer. Visit Braves.com/value to purchase your tickets today. Atlanta Braves baseball. We are Braves country.
If he is successful, the best accomplishment of the Trump administration will be getting rid of the useless Department of Education.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app. WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law, vansantlaw.com.
It was the biggest manhunt in Minnesota ever. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
There's 20 different SWAT teams over an extremely large area hunting this individual down to take him into custody.
Brooklyn Park, Minnesota Police Chief Mark Bruley, after they found Vance Belter, the suspected gunman in the murder of state lawmaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark.
They were both allegedly shot and killed right here. And after the shooting, this is where the manhunt began. The shooter fled on foot from this location.
Fox's Matt Finn outside the Hortman's home.
He was caught last night crawling in a field near his home in Green Isle, Minnesota, southwest of Minneapolis.
Vance Belter charged with murder and attempted murder, also accused of shooting and badly wounding State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette. Governor Tim Walz urging people not to resort to violence in their politics.
Now's the time for us to recommit to the core values of this country. And each and every one of us can do it.
Iran keeps firing back at Israel, and some missiles are getting through the Iron Dome defense, killing at least 5 Israelis, wounding more, while Israel keeps attacking Iran.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Operation Rising Lion will remove an existential threat to Israel, namely Iran's alleged ambition to develop a nuclear weapon. The Israeli military has targeted at least 15 locations. They include the main nuclear enrichment facility, a research center, as well as air defenses and military bases.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. President Trump says the U.S. is not involved in the conflict, but could be, and he hopes still for negotiations.
I think it's time for a deal, and we'll see what happens, but sometimes they have to fight it out.
The president before going to Canada for a summit of G7 countries.
The president is sure to discuss Mideast peace at a mountain lodge setting in Kananaskis. White House officials say the U.S. agenda also includes trade and energy deals, critical minerals, migration, and AI.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern in Calgary. America's listening to Fox News.
Summer is all about making memories, right? Backyard barbecues, road trips, maybe finally getting around to that hiking trail you've been eyeballing. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. So here's a thought. Call 1-800-4RELIEF and try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made from natural ingredients. Best part? Relief Factor doesn't mask pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's kayaking, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in a hammock, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So if you're ready to reclaim your summer, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 1-800-4RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
Grow your business organically with Atlanta's fastest growing news and talk station, Extra 106.3. Get started today by emailing sales@xtra1063.com.
Angela's got it going on.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3 this week. Los is out with his daughters playing volleyball. It's that time of year. So Angela Borbito joins us on the Morning Extra. What's up? You got your own theme song?
Good morning. This is amazing.
I know, right?
It's great to be with you guys.
I'm telling you, it's always fun. It's kind of the where the show takes off, and so many folks have joined us this morning, and we're glad that you're here. 404-741-1230. at Xtra 1063 across the social media platforms. It was hard to escape the news this weekend. There was so much going on. You had the Israeli bombardment of Iran, which I'm fully in favor of. I know Tucker Carlson feels very differently about that. Donald Trump, he said he vetoed an opportunity for the Israelis to take out the supreme leader of Iran, and I feel like he did that in an effort to say, hey, we hope by them, that man not being taken out, that they're going to overthrow him, because us as a country has never been very successful at nation building. So that's the way I feel about that whole thing. I feel like Donald Trump's instinct is peace. We talked about that in the last segment, Angela. That's as a negotiator, that's where he is.
Yes.
That's where he sees his strength is, hey, I'm going to negotiate this. Up until, what was it, they were supposed to meet in Oman, the American delegation and the Iranian delegation in Oman, to talk about peace. And, of course, the Iranians were dragging their feet and of course, not being honest and truthful. But Donald Trump is putting his best foot forward, saying, hey, this is what we're going to try to do, and give them every opportunity to do the right thing. They didn't, and Iran is now in really, really bad shape because all their defenses are down. Everything has been mostly everything has been taken out. As you heard in the Fox News update, they're able to get off a few missiles that have killed 5 innocent civilians in Israel. But that's my instinct. That's where my gut goes, is that Donald Trump is like, hey, how do we stay out of this and let this happen the way it's supposed to naturally?
I think so too. I mean, the Ayatollah, the Iranian government is just a dictatorship with extra steps. They're quote unquote elected officials and appointed officials. The supreme leader controls everything, directly or indirectly. That's the Ayatollah. If you take that guy out, you don't have anyone who can surrender. You have chaos.
Yeah.
Now at least there is someone who can, I don't want to say pull the trigger, that's not the right metaphor, but
right.
you have someone who can say,
okay, wave the white flag.
Yep. You have someone who can do that, who is at least the nominal head of everything, even though everything he was in charge of just got blown up by Israel.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I was reading over the weekend, their main nuclear facility is called Fordo, and F-O-R-D-O-W, Fordo. That's, I guess, the one facility that's so deep in the earth that the Israelis don't have the technology, the bombs.
Under a mountain.
Yeah, it's under a mountain that they can't get to it. The only people that could would be the United States, and that's the linchpin. That's the catch-22, because I don't want to see the United States drug into this war, which I agree with Tucker Carlson if that's his point of view. I don't want to see the United States drug into this war either. So I'm reluctant to say go bomb that thing, even though it seems so very obvious that it needs to be done.
Right. I think the world would be a safer place if those facilities did not exist. And yet I don't know that we should be the ones to take it out. Now, I believe we should support Israel in its fight for survival and self-defense.
Absolutely right.
Because Israel's fighting for its survival since it was founded.
That's why I don't understand the people that are on the right that are condemning Israel for doing what they did. And I saw friends of mine on social media this weekend talking about that, condemning the Israelis. And I was really surprised. One of them, a Air Force veteran, condemned Israel for that. I was just like, are you kidding me right now? Am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? I was very surprised, because I'm in favor of Israel defending itself in any way it sees that it needs to. Everybody that surrounds it, everybody on every side, north, south, east, west, basically says, we want to wipe you off the face of the earth. We don't want you to exist. We don't recognize your right to exist. So if I'm Israel, I'm always in defensive mode. Everybody would be.
They have to be. There's if they stop defending themselves, they stop existing.
Let's say you're a condo. You're trying to sell your condo. You're trying to move. Let's say the people that were above you and below you and to the left and right of you at your condo complex always had guns pointed at you. What would you do? Because I got to tell you, I'd be in defensive mode. I'd be trying to take them out.
Yes. They cannot be your neighbors anymore if they're going to threaten your life day in and day out.
Yeah, so the people that are so against Israel in this, I don't get it.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone makes such a big deal out of, Trump gave Iran 60 days, and on day 61, Israel said, we're taking these people out. But there's another layer to it. I'm not saying that's not important, because I believe it is. But the day prior to Israel launching these strikes, there would have been an international authority. The name escapes me, but it's an international nuclear Authority had censured Iran for the first time in 20 years for refusing to comply with their inspectors and, essentially not playing by the rules. One day. And Israel said, okay, it's time. So the timing of this was not a coincidence by any stretch of the imagination, at least not to me. Israel knew that their survival was threatened imminently. This wasn't, we're going to have a nuke in 5 years. This was, we might have one tomorrow.
Yeah, I think most people believe that they're really, really getting close. Could be, tomorrow, could be 6 months, could be a year, but somewhere in that time frame, I think most people felt like that was certainly a possibility. I'm behind Israel all the way on this, man. It makes a safer world without a doubt, and the way they pulled it off is extraordinary. Certainly the United States was well aware of what was happening, and I would be for it too. If I'm in President Trump or Pete Hegseth's position, I'm in favor of what they're doing. I'm like Donald Trump. I don't want to nation build. I don't want to start dropping bombs. I want to stay out of it. If I can, let the Israelis tear them up. They've got some pent-up aggression that that they were going to get out, and they're doing a fine job, if you ask me, in spite of what Tucker Carlson might say. Anna Paulina Luna, I think she's an interesting lady. I like her a whole bunch. She's feisty. She always has something to say that I'm usually like, yep, she's dead on this one. She says she believes that the Chinese are behind, and I've been saying this from the beginning, that the Chinese have their fingerprints all over the protests that you see across the United States. She said that there's a belief they want to usher in Marxism, and I don't know why 20% of the United States of America don't see that, or they're in favor of it. But here's what she said.
Congresswoman, looking at this chaos, who's funding it and why are they funding it?
So it's actually being funded by a billionaire by the name of Neville Singham. He's actually funding a group called the Party for Socialism and Liberation, which if you look online, they are a communist organization. What they're doing is they are using Hispanic Americans the way that BLM used Black Americans during these whites, and frankly, the way that Code Pink, which is also funded by the CCP, is using Palestinians. So what they're trying to do is they're using this to usher in Marxism. But it's important to note that actually when you find and you follow the money trail, Mr. Singham is actually largely funded by the Communist Chinese Party. So House Oversight has issued and will be sending a letter this Friday with all members of Oversight calling Mr. Singham to testify before Congress. If he does not appear and does not provide documents, he will then be held in contempt of Congress, and he will be prosecuted by the Department of Justice. We are not playing. This is a different administration. We have the Department of Justice, and if you interfere with American politics and are a foreign agent, you will be held accountable.
Yeah. So they are not messing around. They understand where the money's coming from. And so much of this has been filtered to NGOs through USAID then, but still getting to NGOs and still paying for this stuff. None of this is organic. They present this as some sort of organic. We're rising up against the kings. And I believe 20% of the country is so foolish or in favor of it, whichever, that they're like, yep, we're going to go out there and protest. We're going to set our own cities on fire. But I think the American people, by and large, I think most people like you and I, when we look at it, see the exact opposite. We see it for what it is. It's the last thing it is organic. It's bought and paid for. It's AstroTurf, and it's detrimental to the country.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost like they were throwing a party, except it was just really sad, depressing party. Yeah. Because, no kings. Okay, well, what are you opposing? Yeah. Ask him to name a policy. Well, we don't like ICE. Okay, do you not like the laws that ICE is enforcing?
Have them changed.
Right.
Vote to get them changed.
There is a democratic process for all of this. And if someone wants to go in the street and voice their opinion, they absolutely have a right to do so. But to pretend that this is just this mass uprising of the people, this is, it's Les Mis, it's do you hear the people sing? No, it's not.
No, it's anything
Not
but.
even close.
No, it is. It's so ridiculous and absurd. And when you hear the people talking, because of course there were citizen journalists out there interviewing these fools, and every one of them sounded the exact same. They had no idea what they were protesting. They just said ICE and Donald Trump's a king and he's a dictator and all these things that you've always heard. So it's the same message that basically sunk the Democrat Party back in November. It's the same exact message. And they continue to pound those drums and continue to lose. Their polling reflects it.
Yes, they are doubling down on a failed strategy. Their numbers aren't going to get better. They're going to get worse. And in the meantime, there was something really cool happening in D.C.
Oh, yeah, because you had the military parade.
It was neat.
Yeah, it was super cool.
There was so much history woven into that. I'm like, look at this. The president is teaching a history lesson using the highest office in the land to talk to people about the history of our army and our military at large. But I loved how they had troops walking in recreations of historic uniforms.
Yeah, it was super good.
What a cool way to
loved it.
illustrate this country's history.
Yeah, and then they played Inner Sandman as the tanks were coming down the street. Yeah, it was so good.
Oh, I will be YouTubing that.
Yeah, at least the clip that I saw did. And the thing that stood out to me is that people were talking about how, wow, this is something that only happens in North Korea. This is something that only happens in Chinese. And then all you had to do is flip open X, formerly known as Twitter, and then you could see the history of them happening after the Gulf War in the 90s when they did the exact same thing. Rolled the tanks through the streets and, hailed the guys that went in there and the men and women in uniform that went in there and defended our nation. And it was the same kind of thing. There's kids out there in Patriot uniforms and camouflage saluting, and it was a great moment. And they were like, this is nothing but a way for Donald Trump to praise himself that I know of. He wasn't injecting himself at all at any point.
No, he stood up and saluted, which I thought was very moving.
That's all I saw.
He was very, very, he stayed on the Army the entire time. I watched a little bit of it live.
Yep.
And what I noticed was, yes, there was more of a purpose. It wasn't just, we're going to roll the tanks down, we're going to have people march, look at us, look at us. It was a history lesson showing you all of the different eras. They had all of it represented: Revolutionary, Civil War, Vietnam, World War II, both of the world wars, and the modern day. And it was just a celebration of the Army, which is what it was supposed to be. It wasn't about Trump.
Yeah.
And can you imagine what it was like for those people who were re-enlisting and the first time enlistees?
Absolutely.
When they took the oath
from the president?
Yes.
Pretty
That's
impressive.
awesome.
And, they talked about this parade is going to be dark and it's going to be scary. And it was supposed to scare the American people. That was the message. That was, the way the left was painting this. And then I couldn't help but think of Joe Biden in Philadelphia.
Oh, the red lights.
The red light speech with the Marines behind him. And they were all kind of muted. You could just kind of see the silhouettes. And he was telling people, half the country, that they were extremists.
It was this uplit building. I'm like, is this a live shot directly from hell?
Yes. Because that's what it looked like. But that's what I'm saying. These are the same people that said that was dark and dreary and meant to intimidate and scare. And I was like, I'm going to tell you, when I look back at Joe Biden's speech in Philadelphia, that was the scariest thing I'd ever seen in American history. That was the moment where I was like, we're in a bad, bad place. I already thought it. That really summarized it for me.
That speech didn't look like America. That's like, if that guy's on your TV, something's gone really, really wrong in your country.
Gritting his teeth and holding his... I got a picture of it. Look at this. I want Angela to see that. Oh, hang on.
I remember watching it. And
look at that. That was like a screenshot of it.
He's screaming.
It looks like the Fuhrer.
Yes, he's screaming.
You see this,
I remember it.
I mean, it was everything but American. And then the left tried to summarize the parade as that, which was planned under the Biden administration to begin with.
Yeah, it was meant to be a recruiting tool.
Yeah, that's right.
And I would say it was very effective at that.
Me too.
It instilled a lot of pride in people.
But they had no problem with Joe Biden with the red light, the backlit red lights and the Marines.
That was insanity.
Well, they needed a recruiting tool, but the numbers now, they're already there for this year. So this really was just a huge celebration of the Army, which my dad served in.
Yeah,
and I was really proud to see it. And of course, I was watching it with like a little bit of holding my breath, like, man, there's a lot going on, but it went off without a hitch.
And I'm glad. Tim Walz was discussing Israel striking Iran. He was speaking with Neera Tanden of the Center for American Progress. And he said, it's the Chinese that hold moral authority.
Now, who is the voice in the world that can negotiate some type of agreement in this? Who holds the moral authority? Who holds the ability to do that? Because we are not seen as a neutral actor, and we maybe never were. I don't want to tell anybody that. I think there's a lot of people who say you always leaned one way in this, but I think there was at least an attempt to be somewhat of the arbitrator in this. We saw President Carter do it with Begin and Sadat. We've had certain wins along the way that were actually mutually beneficial both ways. Now I ask who that is, and I mean, consistently over and over again, we're going to have to face the reality. It might be the Chinese.
What? It's hard to take that man serious to begin with because he waves with two hands.
Spirit fingers.
So, yeah, right. It's hard to think anything that he says anybody would pay attention to. But this is the lowest of the low. You don't get lower than this. You take the United States' number one enemy. There's no bigger enemy in the world than the Chinese. It's not the Iranians. It's not the Russians. It's not the North Koreans. It's the Chinese. And I contend that he has been compromised by the Chinese. So it's not surprising he would say something like this. But at the same time, this is the same country that he went to on his honeymoon, but also the same country that holds the Uyghur people in slavery to build cheap products for Temu and Shine. They have no moral authority. Zero.
Ever.
Ever.
And for Tim Walz to think, you know what would make this better?
Yeah. If the Chinese were involved, if the Chinese led the charge.
It makes no sense. And he didn't have to say that, right? No one looked at him and said, well, what are your thoughts on China? He brought that up on his own volition. And to me, that's a little frightening. I am very thankful he is not in the nation's second highest office at this moment.
We dodged a bullet for sure. For a guy like him, then I feel like, I'm telling you, you think what you want. I think he's compromised by the Chinese. I think there's a lot of people in our government, unfortunately, compromised by the Chinese. I think the Chinese do a really, really good job of spending lots and lots of money, or using honeypots like they did with Eric Swalwell and Fang Fang. There's ways. I mean, you got Chinese police stations that are in the United States. We know that. We know that these, and that's the only thing I really do struggle with. This is if I had a point of contention with Donald Trump, it is the allowing of Chinese students to come back into the United States again after they sign that trade agreement. Because we've already seen them trying to bring in funguses, bioterrorism, to use for bioterrorism. They're saying they're using them at their schools for research, of course. But these are funguses that would wipe out an entire crop. It would wipe out everything in a farmer's.
You don't put that in your suitcase by accident. You're not like, exactly. Oh shoot,
I just slipped
that's
that
where
in.
those sunglasses are.
Sure enough.
Oh, that's where my lethal fungus was.
Yeah, that's right. But that's the thing. That's the thing that I worry about with Donald Trump. That's the one thing I feel like that maybe he's overlooked, and I'm sure he's not. He's got great people around him that are looking at everything, but that's the one thing that stands out as a huge red flag to me, almost waving back and forth. Like, I think Chinese students should be kicked out of the country, if you're asking me for sure. Like, my own opinion. Every one of them needs to go.
Okay, I think we need better vetting for everybody, no matter where you're from.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm with that too.
But China should be at the top of that list because we've had instances where, I mean, look, this is official policy of the Chinese Communist Party to try and pay off their citizens who are in high up positions within American academia. It's called the 1,000 Talents Plan.
Oh, wow.
It said, we are going to pay you, as in you don't have a choice, but you will be compensated, and you're going to hand us research. You're going to hand us information. A lot of this is sensitive national security research. We don't want that in Beijing.
No. And
it's funded by you and me. It's funded by taxpayers.
See, so that's why I struggle with visa. I think all the visa holders should go home. I don't think they should be here because, and that's the other thing, is the CCP, like you're saying, they don't have a choice.
Yes.
It is written into Chinese law that if the state calls on you and says, you must do this, then you're required by law to do it. And you think, well, they're over here. What would they? Their family isn't. There's ways to influence people.
Yeah, I spoke with a former student at the University of Washington who was a Chinese national. She was studying some sort of advanced geomapping. I'm missing the official name of it, but it was mapping technology that had military applications. Well, she gets a knock on her door when she's back visiting her family in China, and she was taken to a camp. And the University of Washington was pretty unwilling to help get her out of that camp.
Wow.
Because they don't want to anchor China.
Yeah.
And she was amazing to talk to. She talks about, well, I was taken here. They seized my laptop. She talked about that like I would say, I woke up this morning. I brushed my teeth. I put my clothes on.
But she was able to get back to the United States?
She was able to get back to the United States, thankfully. And she's got an incredible story. And you got to wonder how many stories like that are we not hearing because the Chinese take all of it.
So many. And then you just intellectual properties that are being stolen by students because students are very savvy with technology. Just a couple of reasons that it makes me nervous. I have no ill will toward Chinese people at all. Chinese. What I mean is citizens of China, not people that have been naturalized or come to the United States.
Oh, yeah, I had a college roommate who was from China who was super cool.
Absolutely. I have no ill will, but I'm scared to death of what the Chinese make their citizens do and the damage that it could do to the United States of America, which is my biggest concern. Linda Lee's question to the Democrats cuts to the heart of the immigration matter next at Extra 106.3.
Get the latest breaking news and insight from the biggest conservative voices in the South when you follow Extra 106.3 across all your social media platforms. Find us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube at Extra 106.3.
It is supposed to rain, about a 45% chance of rain today. That lasts all the way through next Saturday. Saturday is going to be sunshiny, and then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and maybe even Thursday, rain back in the forecast. What does that mean? If you have a leak in your roof, it means bad news for your home. There's nothing worse for your home than having water seeping in through the roof. And you know those little spots. We've had them too and had to have them repaired. Those little spots, you're like, where'd that come from? You should randomly notice it in the kitchen or whatever, or in the entranceway as you come into the house through the front door. That's where we found ours. Had to get it repaired. With all this rain, if your house is not ready for it, call Southern Exteriors. They were built for it. They install roofs. They repair roofs. They can do siding, windows, gutters. They can do all that stuff. Quality and precision that holds up, not just on paper, but in real life. And you can get 10% off any job or 12 months, 0% financing. I know these guys, they don't cut corners. They have a foreman on site to make sure the job goes exactly the way that you expect it to. But if you don't get that roof fixed, man, we've got so much rain, you are going to suffer the consequences. Get it done today and have some peace of mind. 8779 southernexteriors.co.
It's hot out. If you lose your cool with the law, it's important to know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. So if you find yourself in trouble after a day of fun, in most cases, we can have you or your loved one out in a matter of hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT. That's 404-BAIL-OUT. Or online at atlbail.com.
Hey, this is Tom from The Honest Car Guy. We help you buy your next pre-owned car or truck honestly. We guarantee each vehicle we sell will come with a copy of the bill of sale showing what we paid for it. You pay what we pay, plus an honest fee. Guaranteed. Honesty is the best policy, and we guarantee it. Finally, a pre-owned car and truck buying process that you can trust.
Get an honest car buy from The Honest Car Guy. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME-1, or visit honestcarguy.com.
Military veterans are eager to transfer their skills and experiences to civilian life, but lack trusted connections to expedite their path to success. That is, until they meet the Warrior Alliance. The Warrior Alliance goes the extra mile to reach veterans in their communities so they do not have to take this journey alone. With over 40 partners across 10 service areas, your donation goes a long way toward achieving maximum impact for a veteran and their family. Go to thewarrioralliance.org to donate today and commit to helping the Warrior Alliance change thousands of lives for the better.
There's a tidal wave of clean car happiness sweeping across Braves country. Tidal Wave Auto Spa is your go-to car wash destination for a game day ready ride. Experience Major League Clean at Tidal Wave, the official car wash of the Atlanta Braves. Stay clean car happy all season long with membership discounts, exclusive giveaways, and more. Visit TidalWaveAutoSpa.com/Braves for details.
My car is happy. I am happy. Tidal Wave Auto Spa.
Hey, Atlanta's Mark from the Safe House. I have a question for you. Am I the only person pissed off with the mainstream fake news, liberal judges, and whiny liberal politicians who don't realize why Donald Trump is president, and fake safes? And you may wonder, why fake safes? Well, a fake safe is like Joe Biden, cheap and ineffective. A real safe from Atlanta Safe House is like Donald Trump, tough, effective, and provides peace of mind when you need it the most. So drop by Atlanta Safe House and check out the largest selection of safes in the Southeast and see what a real safe looks like. So go to AtlantaSafehouse.com.
Home is where the All-Stars are. And this year's All-Star game is right here in Atlanta. Make sure to vote for all your Braves players like Ronald Acuna Jr., Marcell Ozuna, Matt Olson, and the rest of the squad to represent at the 2025 All-Star game. Plus, select the Braves as your favorite team and receive 20% off tickets for a future home game. Head to Braves.com/vote to cast your ballot today and see your favorites play right here in our own backyard. Atlanta Braves Baseball. We are Braves country.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Monday, June 16th. The No Kings protests and rallies held on Saturday across the U.S. had almost 20 different locations in Georgia. At least 8 people were arrested in DeKalb County on charges of obstruction of an officer and unlawful assembly. Police used tear gas to disperse the crowd after protesters began marching on Chamblee-Tugger Road towards 285. The body of a 27-year-old man was recovered from Lake Lanier on Sunday after a 24-hour search. The Department of Natural Resources said Ramon Diaz-Soria jumped into the water with a life vest, but it was not secured. And an Atlanta woman is warning commuters after she was scammed out of $800 by the Atlanta Water Boys, who have been known to aggressively sell water at intersections around the city. She said she attempted to send them $5 using a QR code on Cash App, but the code withdrew $800 from her account. Today's weather partly cloudy with scattered thunderstorms this evening. Temperatures will reach the high 80s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne for Extra 106.3.
7 o'clock hour is brought to you by Van Sant Law Group. If you're in an accident, make the right call. VanSantLaw.com. I want you to hear from Linda Lee. And this really, her statement here cuts to the question, and it cuts to the heart of the immigration matter. And she says, why do you only care about illegal aliens? What about the American people, too?
Hear me out on this. With Democrats, every condemnation is a projection and a confession of their own sins. So, and one thing that I will never understand, Democrats work hard as hell for these illegal aliens and for foreigners, but they don't give a shit about Americans here at home. What about us? What about the American people? What about the people in flyover states? What about people in the Bible Belt? Why not care about underprivileged American kids who have trouble getting an education, who have trouble putting food on the table? What about them? Why do you care about so much about people from far-flung areas around the world sending billions of dollars to the farthest corners of the world, but you don't give a damn about children here at home?
Well, I could easily answer that question for her. Though she's right about everything she said, easy answer is they don't vote for Democrats.
Right.
Those people no longer vote for Democrats, so why would they care? That's the reason. That's the answer to the question, but I love the fact that she brought it up.
Good for her for calling them out and for saying, wait a second, you're in theory elected to represent your constituents. Yeah. Why are you abandoning them and their best interests in favor of people who do not have their best interests at heart?
Yeah, no, it's so simple to me is that the Democrat Party is worried about how do we backfill the people that are leaving California.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're already set to lose representatives there, so how do we backfill? We need people counted because they count in the census. They count people, not citizens. They count residents, not the necessarily U.S. citizens. So how do we backfill those people that have left? How do we maybe put people in places that wouldn't be there naturally? How do we overload red areas to maybe influence there too? I think they have a strategic plan. I don't think it's a good plan. I think it's a plan that the American people see through. That's why their polling is where it is. That's why nobody trusts them. That's why the American people voted the way they did in November.
Yeah, the Democrats are hemorrhaging voters. It's not looking good for them. So they have to play this numbers game that you describe, where instead of having some better ideas or
it's just proposing
things, right? Instead of proposing things people want, they're trying to play this numbers game and fill up California and places like it with as many people as they can, legally or not.
Yeah, it does not matter. We're counting people, not citizens.
So that every Californian's vote vastly outweighs the rest of ours.
Well, and they've given opportunities for illegals to vote. They've made that public, that they've done that in several municipalities in California. There's a plan behind it.
Yes.
I mean, this is not just by chance. They're like, well, you know what? We're going to be in favor of illegal immigrants. We're really going to take up that cause because it's near and dear to our heart. No, it's near and dear to your pocketbook.
Yes.
It's near and dear to your power base.
It makes me crazy when they talk about, it's compassionate to let all these people in. It is not compassionate to incentivize people to undertake this incredibly dangerous journey, particularly for women. The rates of assault coming across the border are through the roof. They're facilitating a human rights crisis. They're doing it on purpose, and they're doing it for their own ends.
That's exactly right. It's sad. It drives you crazy. And a long time ago, the establishment, from Bush to Clinton to Obama, everybody talked about illegal immigration being a bad thing for the country.
We do not think the comprehensive health care benefits should be extended to those who are undocumented workers and illegal aliens. We do not want to do anything to encourage more illegal immigration into this country. We know now that too many people come in for medical care as it is. We certainly don't want them having the same benefits that American citizens are entitled to have.
Every place in this country are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens.
Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous. That's why over the past 6 years, deportations of criminals are up 80%. And that's why we're going to keep focusing enforcement resources on actual threats to our security, felons.
There we go. So I don't remember hearing Donald Trump in that cut at all. I heard Hillary Clinton, I heard Bill Clinton, and I heard Barack Obama.
I heard Vanilla Ice.
And Vanilla Ice, Ice Baby. That was maybe a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek there a little bit. But the point being is that, oh yeah, you just got it.
I just got that joke. Sorry that hit me like 30 seconds later than it should have. But
that's all right.
Well played, Jerry. That was awesome.
That wasn't me putting it together. That was in the clip that they pulled.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, there was no Kings, riots, no Kings protests when those, Democrats were doing it, because at that time it was just understood that this is bad for the country. This is not good for the country. This is demeaning and damaging to the country. And it's going to be very bad for the people that come here illegally if they're coming those dangerous routes that you talk about. We've talked about the children, the 300,000 children we're still trying to locate. And then the horror stories of the ones that we do sometimes. There's been a handful of those out there. It's just a bad deal for America all the way around. And it used to be very common. Democrats used to say that. And now they don't even hide it. They're like, yep, that's what we want.
Right. They've stopped pretending. Mm-hmm. They're like, we're not even going to keep up this facade.
And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we know where they actually stand now.
It took a few decades, but we got some honesty out of them. That's good.
Yes.
But yeah, it's what they're doing is inhumane. And it affects every facet of American life. I've read stories from teachers who were saying, oh, I have no ability to speak Spanish. I have no training in this, and half my class are Spanish speakers.
Wow.
I can't communicate with them. They can't communicate with me, and I'm supposed to teach them sophomore year biology?
Yeah, this is going to be a challenge.
How is this going to work? And yes, there are resources in place to try to help them, but these teachers did not sign up
but that's not real
for the
world.
Job they're being told to do.
That's not believable, though. Just because you have maybe a translator or two for, what seems like hundreds of kids in an entire high school that can't speak English, and then teachers that don't speak Spanish. There's no resolving that in real time. There's years and years of planning. Even if we wanted to make that a reality, it would take years and years of planning to make that happen. It's just bogus all the way around, and they know that.
They absolutely do. I spoke to a principal in D.C. who had a really interesting story. He was like, I love that they all have smartphones now. I'm like, really? Like every other educator I know is
Translate.
furious at the smartphones. So much worse.
Oh.
He goes, there are fights in the hallways all the time. And now I have a 360-degree view to see who threw the first punch.
Oh, wow.
Because everybody's got their phone out, everybody's recording it.
Oh, wow.
And he was very open with me and said, I just pull one phone from each gang. He's like, I got my MS kids, I got my Latin Kings, I got my this, I got my that, I got my that. And I remember thinking, I never get to complain about anything I do at work ever again, because this guy's job, his easiest day is harder than my hardest day.
Yeah. Oh,
and he didn't sign up for that. He signed up to help kids learn.
There's no interest in having kids learn, because those kids, if they did learn, if they were taught, and I mean, take away the illegal immigration part for just a moment. If we were trying to educate those children really, those kids would have an opportunity to maybe build something, build their own business, become independent.
Yes.
And then they wouldn't depend on the Democrats and wouldn't depend on the government. So they want no part of that. Educating kids is not part of the puzzle that they're laying out.
Not even a little bit. And if they do, we're going to educate you to pass a test. We're not going to educate you to be an independent and functional member of society. Now, what the teacher unions are doing is saying we're going to knock out the test. Like, they do everything they can to lobby against standardized testing. And look, no one loves a standardized test. No one's like, I had the best day of my life filling in Scantron bubbles. Nobody loves it. But I do think that sometimes you need it just to kind of take the temperature on how are we doing. Can these kids read, write, and do math?
Yeah.
The teacher unions know full well they can't. So instead of trying to get the kids up to speed, they just say, we got to abolish these tests.
Well, yeah, because they're not fair.
They're inequitable.
Yeah, that's right. But that's an easy way of saying, we're not responsible for this.
Right.
Because the tests are bad. It's not us. We're not bad.
Oh, of course.
It's the test that's bad. And I'm with you, because I remember when they first started saying, hey, we're not even going to look at ACTs and SATs. And I was like, well, good, because I wouldn't have been able to go to college. And look, I dropped out 3 times, so it's not like I belonged there to begin with. But had I needed an SAT or an ACT score, I wouldn't have done well. So I remember thinking, man, this is great, because it doesn't give me any sort of playing field. They have no idea where I'm coming from. Do I need to be there? Do I belong there? What classes would I need to start with? I mean, it pretty much lays it all out. It kind of tells you where the student is, right?
It does, and everything else on your college application is largely subjective. Even your GPA, it may be way easy to get an A at one school and way hard to get an A at a school across town. Grade inflation is rampant. It has been for years. GPA is not a substitute. Recommendation letters, subjective. Essays, subjective. When you need an objective measure and you get rid of that objective measure, there's studies coming out now saying that test optional hurt the very people it was supposed to help.
Well, of course. Yeah. Because it's never about helping anybody. It's about maintaining power and money. That's what it boils down to.
And I want to go back to what Linda Lee was saying at the beginning of this, because it just crossed my mind that she's asking, why aren't they focused on the people that are here? And it's the same thing that Democrats always do. They dig in on these tiny issues for a small percentage of the population that they make it their flagpole. And it's just like the trans rights thing, the defund the police. Most people do not believe in these things, they make it their they put all of their energy into that and say, this is what we're going to go with. And that's why they can't keep people. That's why they're losing.
It's because they cycle through them. Now, the people that used to be part of the BLM movement go, wait a minute, that didn't help me at all. That didn't help my neighborhood at all. That didn't help my family at all. And those people have ran away from that. And so they can't convince those people anymore.
Right.
We've got to find a new set of people that we can convince how good we are and to give us your vote and to help them maintain, back to my whole original point, maintain power and money, because that's what it's all about.
And it's always about the boogeyman.
That's right. The boogeyman's around the corner. When we continue on Extra 106.3, how Israel did what it did is nothing short of miraculous. This is the Morning Extra. Tug and Los until 10. Angela Morabito in for Los on Extra 106.3.
Here are your sports headlines for Monday.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Here are your sports headlines for Monday, June 16th. The Braves have the day off today after they dropped the final game in the home series against the Colorado Rockies on Sunday, 10-1. The Mets come to town tomorrow evening. Spencer Schwellenbach will take the mound against David Peterson. First pitch is set for 7:15. In the NBA, the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder are tied at 2 games apiece for the championship after the Thunder beat the Pacers 111-104 Friday night. Game 5 is set for tonight in Oklahoma. Tip-off is scheduled for 8:30. And in the Stanley Cup Finals, the Florida Panthers lead the Edmonton Oilers 3-2. The Panthers beat the Oilers Saturday night, scoring 5-2 for Edmonton. The series picks up again tomorrow night in Miami. The puck drops at 8 o'clock. With your sports headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
Well, hello there. It's Carlos Medina. You can call me Los. We're totally friends like that. And let me tell you about some other friends of mine. That would be Howard Brothers, where you can get yourself a Walker mower. If you haven't noticed, and if you put your hand out, basically you will notice all the rain that we're getting. And when that rain comes, well, then your grass goes crazy. So what I'm letting you know is take back your time. Take back your time with a Walker mower from Howard Brothers. Amazing cut quality, tight maneuvering, all-day comfort. Walker turns mowing from a chore into a choice, one that you don't mind making. Spend less time sweating out there. Get behind that mower. Get your time back with a Walker mower. It's going to keep things moving for you. Find yours at Howard Brothers today. They've got the best machines in the business ready for you because the grass is always greener when you take care of it with Walker and Howard Brothers.
A company that has been trusted in Atlanta for over 25 years has already done their hometown homework, like having the very best people, fair, honest pricing, exceptional customer service, and a focus on high-quality work. That's us. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage, Entry Doors, and Windows. Sometimes new isn't better, like out-of-town home improvement companies invading Atlanta with their inflated pricing and subpar work. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 seasonsgarages.com.
The future of business in Georgia is bright, and Georgia Power is a driving force behind the businesses and organizations that are vital to the growth of the state. Just ask Brandon Hutchison, Executive Vice President and General Manager of Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Make no mistake about it, we're big customers of Georgia Power. It really is a true partnership. We've ran NASCAR's highest level of racing. In the early days of Atlanta Motor Speedway, Atlanta International Raceway, as it were, they raced twice a year, and that was about it. And then we started figuring out that this is an 850-acre campus that can do so much more. And it's not just the larger events that impact the region. It's the local events that really impact our community. It's a big responsibility for us to be such a big player in our community. And there's no doubt that Georgia Power has fan experience front of mind all the time.
To learn more about how Georgia Power is helping businesses big and small, visit GeorgiaPower.com and tune in all year to discover how they're powering the future of Georgia.
Hey, this is John Flading. I'm the president and owner of ATL Turf Co. We are a family-owned, operated, independent local company. We have over 15 years of artificial grass design, installation, and sales experience. From premium artificial lawns and backyards, custom putting greens, sports fields, hardscape, drainage. We do both residential and commercial. If you can dream it, we can build it. Just go to atlturfco.com to schedule an appointment.
The warm air, the beautiful weather, and the sounds of baseball. It's got you thinking about hitting the road. And no matter where your adventures take you, Subaru of Gwinnett has a vehicle to get you there safely and in style. Like the 2025 Subaru Outback, which will take you as far as you want to explore with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive plus up to 32 miles per gallon. And if you're up for adventure, it'll get you off the beaten path with up to 9.5 inches of ground clearance. More than the Honda CR-V or Toyota RAV4 or the 2025 Subaru Forester, the SUV for all you love. It's the right-sized SUV for all the adventures ahead with a spacious and comfortable interior for everyone you want to bring along. And no matter where adventure takes you, it starts on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth with the amazing staff at Subaru of Gwinnett. They'll help you find the Subaru that you'll love and be there every step of the way for everything you need. Start your shopping online at SubaruofGwinnett.com.
There are nut jobs on the road. Who knows where they learn to drive? If one of them hits you, don't take care of it on your own. Call my friend David Van Sant, 855-GA-INJURY. Van Sant Law, one of Georgia's top-rated personal injury lawyers and car accident firms. Time is of the essence. Don't waste any. The longer you wait to get the right lawyer, the longer it takes to get the compensation you deserve. Call Van Sant Law today. The number is 855-GA-INJURY. VanSantLaw.com.
Your favorite Extra shows are streaming live video from the studio on Extra 106.3's YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Extra YouTube channel and get the Morning Extra and the Kimmer Show in live digital video.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. I'm Tug. Los out this week, and Angela Morabito sits in. It's not every day that you refer to yourself as a third person and incorrectly.
No, I see him right there.
Yeah,
there he is.
You're right next to me.
Yes, I am. Democrat lawmaker in Minnesota gunned down by a crazy lib. It just adds to the recent leftist violence that's gone on in the country, and there's quite a list of them. There's the murdered CEO, healthcare CEO from United Healthcare, the 2 Israeli diplomats, firebombing Tesla dealership, firebombing Jewish demonstrators, burned down L.A., and now a murdered state representative in Minnesota. It's unreal what seems to be happening. If you watch the mainstream media, they would tell you that this is a right-wing extremist.
And I didn't realize that if you go back a few years when we had the shooter at the baseball game.
Yes, that's
right.
right.
Baseball game.
Yeah.
That was on Flag Day several years ago.
That's right. That's right. Steve Scalise shot.
Yeah.
And so just the craziest things. And now they've released the pictures of the Minnesota shooting suspect, Vance Bolter. He was arrested near his Green Isle home, accused of killing Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband while posing as law enforcement. It's absolutely nuts. He's wearing this weird mask.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely bonkers.
Terrifying.
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. He also shot John Hoffman 9 times and his wife 8 times. They survived. The man, the representative, Senator Hoffman, he shielded his wife and his daughters, according to his nephew. He was trying to get in the way of the bullets and save her life, and thankfully, it seems like he did. But the mainstream media, they would have you believe that this is a a Trump guy, this is a MAGA guy, and I'm just like, I'm not convinced of it. There's so many layers to the story that make no sense.
Yes. How did he get all this stuff to appear to be a police officer?
Well, that, and maybe you can order it on Amazon. I don't know. I've never ordered, but maybe an Army Navy store. It's just me guessing, just possibly. But you have to know what the look is. You have to kind of know at least what the police officers in your community wear and how they look in a particular way. But then there's the story of his wife, this man's wife being pulled over by the police. She had weapons with her, and they ultimately let her go. They release her. You've got the roommate, a guy that's giving the kind of the play-by-play of the text that he got from Vance Bolter. And none of that adds up, because if he's married, why does he have this weird roommate? Like, what's the story there? There's so many layers of this onion that makes no sense. But the one thing I can tell you is he was appointed to work in the government in Minnesota by Tim Walz. Does that mean Tim Walz is part of this? No, I'm not saying that at all. But it kind of leads you to believe at least there's some sort of connection between him and Democrat politics. It's hard to believe otherwise.
Yeah, you've got Tim Walz coming out and saying, this was politically motivated.
I agree with that.
We have, maybe. I've heard that there was a manifesto, but they're not releasing it.
That's right, yeah.
So at this point, we all have more questions than answers. But to try and paint this as, some crazy right-winger based on nothing?
And then on top of that, the representative that was killed, Melissa Hortman, she sided with the Republicans and vetoed a bill that would take away health care for adult illegals. And then she did this interview where she was clearly nervous, clearly uneasy, as she's describing voting with the Republicans. So there's that makes me go, well, wait a minute. You want to blame this on Republicans? She voted with Republicans, and now she's dead? I don't know. The addition doesn't work for me. The way the mainstream media is painting this doesn't work for me. We don't have all the details, but it seems very clear that Tim Walz is right in the fact that it's political. And that was the reason, in my view.
Yeah. I mean, this is clearly something that was planned out. This wasn't somebody who woke up in the morning and decided to commit these horrible, horrible crimes. This is somebody who had a game plan. He had targets, and he got those targets. I'm thankful that he was captured alive, because maybe
you get some information.
Maybe we can figure out what happened here and how do we prevent it from ever happening again.
I don't know that I trust anything he says to begin with.
True.
Though, right? Because he's going to be, he's crazy. Clearly, you don't do something like that. You don't plan something like that without being nuts. And then we've learned, data shows us, Pew Research shows us, Nate Silver's research shows us that liberals, people that are liberal-minded, struggle with mental health issues at a far greater rate than people on the conservative side.
Yes.
This is another just evidence of it, if you ask me.
Yes, and we have this whole societal thing of like, don't judge, don't judge.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we've don't judged ourselves into having crazy people running around.
So he worked, listen to some of the things that he's done in his life. And that's not to demean the man. It's good that it's working. Some people don't. But he was appointed to an agency in Minnesota's government. He was an operations leader at the Johnsonville Sausage Factory, a Del Monte production systems manager, general manager at Green Corps. I don't know what Green Corps is. He was a manager shortly after that as a 7-Eleven. And then ran as the CEO. This is his LinkedIn page. He's the CEO of Red Lion Group. And they represent the Republic of Congo in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So I'm saying nothing adds up. There's nothing in this that makes sense except for, yes, this was political. And I can't see anything except for this woman voted with the Republicans and this man had a problem with it. That's what it looks like. On the surface, as we get more information, certainly you can change. But I'm just saying, as it sits right now, that's what it looks like.
It's terrifying. And I haven't seen anything come out about this man having a criminal record. But to go from a career in food production, customer service, that kind of industry, to now we're representing the Congo in Minnesota?
It just doesn't work. And then to be appointed to a governmental oversight committee, some sort of committee that Tim Walz nominated him for. And there's something else that works in there too, is there's something to do with the funeral home. He was an employee of the funeral home because the roommate, even though he's married, the roommate was saying that he was worried about taking people's eyes out when he's doing the funeral process. Like, it is all alarming. None of it adds up. None of it makes sense. But it all points to leftist violence again in America.
Has the roommate said this guy was definitely crazy?
No. Funny enough, he acts like they were just best buds. The way he discusses it, the way they were talking, nothing to see here. This guy's totally normal. This is so out of the blue. I think there's always signs.
Right.
I mean, sometimes it's easier, when hindsight, 2020, of course. But the roommate, he goes from absolutely in tears as he's reading Vance's text to him about, you don't know anything about this. I'm going away for a while. I don't want to implicate you in this thing that I'm doing. But then he read that, but then started to show the reporters some of the text. Then he pulls it back and decides not to. Maybe something more incriminating on there. There's no way to know. It's complete speculation. There's just a lot there. And I don't know that we'll ever find out the full truth. It seems like in instances like this that we never get the full truth.
Ever. And I give it about 36 hours before somebody goes, well, he was on our radar.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Maybe this will happen this time, maybe not, but it does seem to happen a lot.
On the left, at least from my perspective.
Yes.
And when you vote against Democrats, if you vote with the Republicans, this seems to be one of those messages of, you better not ever do that. You better not ever cross the line.
And the fact that one of the victims was so nervous in an interview, I mean, was this beyond normal, public speaking jitters? Was this somebody who looked panicked?
Well, this is the representative that voted with the Republicans, the one that he ultimately killed. Yes, I've never seen an interview with her before, but you can watch this interview, and I'll share it at Tug Cowart and at Xtra 1063 across the social media platforms, where you can see that she's so shaken at what she's done, even though she thinks that's the right thing. But that's what political violence is for.
Right. I wonder if she was aware of a threat.
Seems like a possibility. Seems like a strong possibility. When we continue on Xtra 1063, a guy I don't always agree with at Fox News Channel nailed it on the No Kings silly protests that we saw over the weekend. Morning Xtra on Xtra 1063, Tug and Los until 10. Los out this week. Angela Morbido filling in.
For the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 1063.
Okay, for today's version of Stirring the Pudding, we're going to make you the news director of a TV or radio station or the editor of a newspaper. You have reporters out there covering the riots in Los Angeles and Atlanta and the peaceful protest in my home of Naples, Florida. And you notice that those signs that these people are carrying, they're not all the same. But the ones that are obviously mass-produced have a little line there at the bottom of the sign. The line says, Party for Socialism and Liberation. So your reporter in the field does his or her stand-up. Your news reporter for the newspaper reports dutifully on all of the events taking place out there. Now, there will be pictures and video of these signs. And if you look closely at those pictures and videos, you will see at the bottom, Party for Socialism and Liberation. Now, if your reporter or you as the editor decide to look at that party and say, what party is this? Here's the information you would come up with. From Wikipedia, Party for Socialism and Liberation, Communist Party of the United States. The definition would be the Party for Socialism and Liberation is a communist political party in the United States formed in 2004 when its members split from the Workers' World Party. Now, if a little bit of research shows you that a lot of these signs and support for these riots are coming really from the Communist Party, would that be worth including in your news story? The Communist Party lending all of that aid and support and signs and whatnot for the riots? I think so, but then that's just me. Obviously, our mainstream media doesn't think so. And the way it goes. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Don't miss the first MLB All-Star Week event at Truist Park as talent meets tradition in the 3rd annual HBCU Swingman Classic presented by T-Mobile and powered by the MLBPA Youth Development Foundation. Join fans, athletes, and alumni to watch Hall of Famer Ken Griffey Jr. shine a light on 50 of the best young ball players from HBCUs around the country on baseball's biggest stage, July 11th at 7 p.m. Get your tickets today at allstargame.com/swingman.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
At least 8 more deaths in Israel. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After missiles Iran fired got through the Iron Dome defense,
destroying both apartment buildings and residential blocks. We got to one scene in the heart of Tel Aviv, just blocks away from the U.S. Embassy branch here that was also damaged in that strike. And when we got there, first responders were rushing into the flames, trying to look for survivors in the rubble.
Fox's Trey Yingst also reports that Israel keeps hitting Iran,
taking out top intelligence officials from the Iranian regime, including the country's chief intelligence officer and his deputy. They also took out what they say are 1/3 of the ballistic missile launching positions.
Israel's also been doing a lot of damage to Iran's nuclear infrastructure, and Fox's Jackie Heinrich reports from the White House.
Fox can confirm President Trump recently vetoed an Israeli plan to kill Iran's supreme leader. Our Brett Baer asked Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu if a regime change is part of Israel's strategy in attacking Iran. He said it could be the result, and Israel is doing what it has to do because Iran has enough enriched uranium to make 9 bombs.
There are also more deaths in Gaza, where Israel's been waging war against Hamas. Palestinian officials say shots were fired again near food distribution sites for civilians, killing at least 38 people. The Middle East conflict will be a topic for President Trump and other world leaders to discuss in Canada now at a G7 summit. Talking to reporters before going, the president again defended his handling of the protests in L.A.
If we didn't have the National Guard on call and ready, they would rip Los Angeles apart.
The president in Truth Social Post last night called for expanded illegal immigration raids in cities like L.A., Chicago, and New York. A manhunt ended in Minnesota last night for the man accused of murdering a state lawmaker and her husband and wounding a state senator and his wife. Vance Belter found hiding in a field. Governor Tim Walz says violence has no place in politics.
Talk to a neighbor rather than arguing. Debate an issue. Shake hands. Find common ground.
America's listening to Fox News.
Summer is all about making memories, right? Backyard barbecues, road trips, maybe finally getting around to that hiking trail you've been eyeballing. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. So here's a thought. Call 1-800-4RELIEF and try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made from natural ingredients. Best part? Relief Factor doesn't mask pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's kayaking, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in a hammock, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So if you're ready to reclaim your summer, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 1-800-4RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
Wake up with the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3 Atlanta.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra. Thank you for being here. 404-741-1230 at Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms. Angela Morabito in today for Front Office Los, formerly of the Department of Education, spokeswoman there for a really long time, and in the first Trump administration, 13 years in Washington, D.C., so you got a good pulse on that city.
I saw a lot of change in that city, and I also saw a lot of things stay the same that probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, right. It's crazy to think that there are people up there. I believe there are people that go there with good intention.
Oh, of course.
And then they just get swept up.
Yes.
Because even the people that I like, most of the time, I'm not sure I trust.
Yeah. I picture like crabs in a bucket, right? As soon as somebody starts to break away a little, they pull you back in. I mean, I'll tell you this. When I was working at the Department of Ed, coworkers would ask me, well, what's your Uber job? When an Uber driver asks you, what do you do?
Which is fascinating.
If you said you worked for the administration, the Trump administration, you were risking your safety.
Right. Imagine that. See, it goes back to the conversation we had in the last segment, right?
Mm-hmm.
With violence on the left. And I'm not saying there's never violence on the right, because I do believe there is. I think it's much more rare on the right than it is the left. It's very pronounced on the left. They're very, very close-minded. They don't discuss anything. If you get out of the tent, then you're exiled. They want nothing to do with you. All you have to do is step across the line one time, say something kind about Donald Trump, or say you've worked with him in some shape, form, or fashion. You will be exiled. There's no room for that. There was a great discussion we had last week. There was a graph done that showed the variety of thought on the right, and it's a huge spider web. And then that of those on the left, this little blue dot, and it was just the tightest. I mean, you can just tell that nobody's allowed to think for themselves.
Yeah, I loved y'all's conversation on that, because as much as the left talks about diversity, they don't have diversity of thought.
They don't.
And if you're not in lockstep, you are kicked out. Meanwhile, on the right, I was actually surprised by that chart about how diverse opinions and views were. It is a big tent. And I think that's why the right side is growing and the left is just
shrinking,
falling in the polls, falling in their numbers. They're a mess.
Well, think about this. We brought this up earlier this morning. We were talking about the Israeli strikes on Iran, and you have some on the right who are vehemently against it. And I'm against the United States. I don't want the United States involved necessarily, but I understand why the Israelis did what they did, and I back them for doing what they did. But we do have people in this party that do not agree with it. Tucker Carlson being the biggest voice.
Yes.
So that's just one instance. That's just one example of what's happening on the right. Diverse, robust conversation, which usually leads to the best answer.
Yeah, I mean, I know people, it's June, to me, it's Title IX month, but to a lot of folks, it is Pride Month. I think Pride Day for Americans is the 4th of July, but I digress. There are folks I know, thank you, there are folks I know who vote the same way I do. Probably every single time. We agree on a lot. They will be at Pride parades. I know folks who believe that that Supreme Court case, Obergefell, that granted gay marriage, was decided wrongly. Mm-hmm. And yet those two people who disagree on a really big aspect of human existence are like, oh, yeah, this is the right direction for the country.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I have no ill will toward anybody that sees things differently than I do. I don't have any ill will toward Tucker Carlson. I disagree with him on this. I don't want anything bad to happen to him.
Of course not.
Anybody that disagrees with me about anything, I wish them no ill will. I just disagree with them, and maybe even strongly disagree with them. But that's where I leave it. I'm fine with call her my Aunt Peg, because my Aunt Peg is incredibly liberal. And I love her. She's one of the dearest people in my whole life. I love her. She's the sweetest woman in the world. Los makes fun of me for always overselling her, because she is. She's
I want to meet
wonderful.
Aunt Peg. She sounds amazing.
She's wonderful, but she is a lefty lunatic. When it comes to politics, we can't even because she makes the room so uncomfortable. Like I'm like, okay, we disagree. Let's just leave it there.
Yeah.
She wants to talk. She wants to talk. She wants to discuss. And I always try to be very kind. I was like, you're not changing my mind on this, you know? And I know I'm not changing her mind. So why discuss it? Let's just talk about things that we do like apple pie and whatever. You know,
things y'all have in common.
Yeah, that's right. And that's where we live, or at least where I do. And most of the time, she'll let that be, but not always. Because like today will be a day that I see her go off on social media. I know I'll see my tag on social media because today, 10 years ago today, Donald Trump came down the escalator. He declared that he was running for president of the United States 10 years ago today.
What a decade it has been.
Holy cow. Think about that. Put that in perspective for a minute. What's gone on in the last 10 years? The change in the United States of America, the change in the world, the fact that the Republicans went from not being a part of cool culture to owning cool culture.
Yeah.
The left used to be, I mean, they still have Hollywood, they still have the music industry, they have academia, they have all that. But they don't have the culture. They've lost the culture completely.
Not at all.
Donald Trump owns the culture, and Republicans forget oftentimes, and I believe this. Take your temperature on it. That Republicans sometimes think that the American people voted for them, and they didn't. They voted for Donald Trump. Big difference.
I think that's true. I've seen some polling data that bears that out. And you think about all that has changed in the past 10 years. When he came down that escalator, he was mocked, including by people on the right. It was, this is a vanity campaign.
Sure.
What's this guy doing?
He's a TV, reality TV guy. What's he know?
And then he made great television. He threw these huge rallies and you couldn't look away. Whether you loved him or hated him, you were going to watch. And in the first Trump campaign, it was something he had like $1 billion in earned media, meaning television attention he didn't have to pay for like a paid ad.
And you know this coming from the Department of Education, earned versus paid.
Yes, I served in the first Trump administration very proudly. I was the Department of Education press secretary. And all of a sudden it was, he's going to destroy the Middle East. No, he had the Abraham Accords.
That's right.
It was, he's going to be a mess for the economy. No, the economy was roaring.
And it lifted all ships.
It did.
Everybody. And that's what we're hoping for again.
Whether you voted for him or not. And that really bugs me because I was a petty queen in D.C. and I would see people talking about we're going to do this. Like the gas is so cheap. I'm like, you voted against this. You should still have to pay $4 a gallon.
That's right. Dragging them, kicking and screaming across the finish line. We say that on the show all the time. Even the people that hate us and hate our way of life, which has become the 80 of the 80-20 issues, we're going to drag y'all kicking and screaming across the finish line.
Yes.
And we're going to provide, because we've already seen Trump in, June, so 6 months into 2025. And personal wealth has gone up already. Inflation has gone down. Gas prices are down. Egg prices, grocery prices are down. I had a report from, I didn't even know this was a real thing. It was called supermarketnews.com. And they just report on the grocery store industry. They said everything in your neighborhood grocery store across the country, everything is down with the exception of one category, and that's alcohol. Everything else has come down in price.
That's amazing.
No, it's extraordinary. You never hear about the egg prices anymore. Remember they were talking about it?
That's right. It was, he's having this Easter egg hunt and he's wasting all these expensive eggs.
Right. So silly, so absurd, and it continues to be. And they attacked him and they went after him. Think about that in the 10 years, what he's been through. And I don't worship at the altar of Trump. Do I think he loves America the way I do? I do. Do I agree with him on everything? I don't. But do I think that he's the best choice right now to lead the United States? And the answer is yes, and it seems like the American people agree with that too. But think about the charges, the trumped up, pun intended, the trumped up charges here in Atlanta. Now, the mugshot that was taken here that now is in the Oval Office as you walk in the hallway, and it's right there, the last thing before you walk into the Oval Office.
I love that he hung it up. That's such a flex.
Oh, dude,
they tried every trick in the book to take him out of the political realm, and it didn't work. In fact, it backfired spectacularly. And look, I see a big difference between Trump 1.0, his first term,
easily,
and Trump 2.0. Carlos said something, this is one of the smartest things I have heard about the change in President Trump a couple weeks ago on the show. He said the dumbest thing the left did was give him 4 years to reload.
That's right.
And prepare. He came in ready, and he didn't have to learn the ropes again.
No, that's
he
right.
knew exactly what he wanted to do and how to do it, and he's doing it fast and furious.
And all those trumped up charges, pun intended again, have all fallen apart. They've all went away.
It's just gone.
Because it was all built on nonsense. It was all
Right.
built on lies. It was all built on false information. Just nothing but politics at its worst. But I want to share something with you that I just read that was really eye-opening, and I think this is why the American people are behind Donald Trump and not behind the No Kings rallies. Because that was mainly elderly folks. I don't know if y'all saw this. It was mainly way upper end of the demo that still get their news from mainstream media. That's why they believe it. They've been taught their entire life, this is the people that deliver the news. This is who you listen to. And I think they've been dramatically influenced by that. That's why it was them out there protesting and not regular Americans, by and large. I mean, certainly there were some young people, but more often than not, in every protest I saw, it was mainly upper-end older folks.
Yep, and they made their posters, and they showed up, and they took their picture, and they're going to say, I did something. Okay, well, what did you protest for? We know you protested against somebody. But what is their vision for the country? They still don't have one. And before we know it, we're going to be a year past the 2024 election, where I think they lost in large part because nobody knows what Kamala Harris stood for.
Right.
Other than I grew up in a middle-class family. Right. Okay, cool, we got that. What are you going to do for us?
We're not sure about it.
Right.
We're not convinced by it. Because there's nothing you say that I'm convinced by. But they have no direction. They have no message. They have no leadership. They are lost at sea as best that I can see and best that I can put it. But listen to this. Donald Trump's bond, when he was accused of all these crimes that finally went away, the bond was set at $454 million, then reduced to $175 million. Think about that. That's astronomical. I mean, he's a billionaire, but I think even that, for a billionaire, even that kind of money is probably frightening because you got to come up with it, right? A lot of things are tied up in real estate. You're on paper worth this amount. I don't know what his bank account looks like, but I would imagine pretty good, but that's a big number. Vance Bolter, man that killed 2 people in cold blood and tried to kill 2 others. His bond, $5 million.
It's obscene.
$454 million for crimes they couldn't even tell you what they were.
And we know they weren't violent.
And we know they weren't violent. They were white collar crimes. And $454 million reduced down to $175 million. A man that they just found, that they've been searching for all weekend long after he kills 2 people and tries to kill 2 others. $5 million. That's how bogus everything that happened to Donald Trump was.
I hope that when President Trump leaves office, he writes a book or 2 or 3. He could probably fill like a dozen about what he went through. Because he has a unique story that no one else in our country's history has faced, holding the nation's highest office and being prosecuted so unfairly at the highest levels. It was, we're going to make sure he can't leave New York. We're going to make sure he can't campaign. We're going to take millions of dollars out of his bank account so he can't fund this campaign. We're going to raid his house based on what? Nothing.
Yeah, and it was staged. Even when they raided Mar-a-Lago, and the president had the right to have the documents that were in his home, which were secure. Joe Biden, as vice president, did not, and he had them in his garage. He had them in a warehouse. So the difference there is remarkable, and that's why the American people see right through what the Democrats are doing. But then on top of that, the FBI staged and they placed top secret flyers and taped them on top for the photo op.
I had
just
no
to build
idea.
the case. It's nuts, all the things that they did and went through to convince the American people that this man was a threat to democracy, because that's what they said every day. And then the American people go, you know what? All this is bull crap, and I can tell.
Yeah.
And none of it passes the smell test. And then those people that were out this weekend I don't know. It looked like a dud to me. Had people killed in Salt Lake City. Had I think it was Virginia. A man drove through a crowd of people in the No Kings protest. 2,000 of them, I think, around the country, but it largely was a dud. Not a lot really done there. But Brett Baer, what he said, Dre, I want folks to hear what Brett Baer said on Fox News Channel. I don't always agree with Brett Baer. It's 60-40 maybe.
Yeah.
He says some things. I'm like, I don't know about that, Brett. And and he's got ties to Atlanta. Went to high school here in Atlanta,
which is awesome.
Yeah,
I'm a Brett Baer fan. I'm a fan of a lot of the folks on Fox. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anybody out there where I'm like 100%. I agree with you all the time.
Zero people that I'm 100% on. But Brett Baer said something that stood out to me, and it kind of juxtaposed the No Kings protest with the celebration of 250 years of the Army and the parade. Listen to what he said.
We noted that these No King protests happening in many cities around the country, suggesting that this was an authoritarian display. We don't have a king in the U.S., and in part we don't because the U.S. Army 250 years ago made it so. So there is no king here.
He couldn't have said it any more precisely. There is no king. You're right. So these No Kings protests are ridiculous. These are people that are out there protesting. They have no idea what they're protesting for. They just hate Donald Trump. It's TDS gone wild. Or they're protesting ICE. This is what Donald Trump ran on. We're going to get the criminals out of the United States. And the American people said, yes, let's do that. Let's get those people out.
Yes.
That's what they're protesting. They're saying that doing what he said he was going to do when he was running for office is now elevated him to king level, which makes no sense.
Makes no sense at all. I saw a photo of someone holding a sign that said, "No Nazis." And I was like, that's right.
Yeah.
There are no Nazis anymore because of the U.S. Army.
That's right.
And the military more broadly. And by the way, the president you hate so much is teaching a history lesson on that right about now. Maybe you should tune in.
Maybe.
You might like it.
No, because they can't get by my Aunt Peg, can't get by her TDS. They hate Donald Trump more than they love America. They hate Donald Trump more than they love anything. Like, they're so obsessed with their hatred of one man that they can't see past it. I can't imagine living my life that way.
That's sad.
I want to focus on the things that I love. I want to focus on the things that matter to me. And yet, these people are so eat up with it. For cancer, they'd be dead. Their TDS is so strong.
You're right. It becomes a part of their identity of who I am is in opposition to this guy. Like, they have to reflect back on anything Trump does and says because their identity is just whatever he isn't. I think that's really sad. I also think they're missing out on a really fun time to be an American.
Yeah. When America's golden age, kind of we're back to that.
Next year, we get the 250th
that's right. Yeah.
birthday of our country. In 2028, we get the LA Olympics. We're going to have the world's eyes on America.
World Cup coming to town.
That's right. It's going to be here, part of it, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be an amazing time to be an American. And if you are not proud of that, you're missing out on a really good time.
Yeah, right. I would maybe reevaluate. There's a reason that mental illness is rampant on the left, and we get that information from Pew Research and Nate Silver, a liberal man that runs the 538. He said, yes, when it comes to mental illness, those on the left are really struggling with it, and it's not even close to the absence of it on the right. It's unbelievable. It really is. And you think about the way that the left did. They coronated. They took their own president out.
Yes.
They coronated someone, said this is going to be the person that takes his place. Prior to that, it was Bernie Sanders leading the charge. They took him out, paid him to step aside so Hillary Clinton could be the person. They don't believe in their own BS.
Right. They're not following the democratic processes that they claim to be fighting for. They're not doing it.
That's right. By no means. They skip primaries. They install Kamala. They sued to keep RFK off of ballot. Remember when RFK was running?
That's right.
They sued to keep him off. It was nutso to see what they were doing. They treated it more like a monarchy than Donald Trump ever will. This is the Morning Extra at Extra 106.3, 8 o'clock hour, brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com. A woman who personally damaged your kids' and grandkids' education showed up at that No Kings protest that we've been talking about. I have a feeling Angela will have a strong opinion of this woman next on Extra.
Extra 106.3 app is your live connection to the station, streaming free across Georgia. But it's also loaded with all our original shows and podcasts. Listen to exclusive shows from Janelle King, Ben Burnett, and so many more. Grab the Extra 106.3 app now and start streaming.
This is Tom with the Honest Car Guy.
Hey, what's with all this honesty stuff?
We help you buy your next pre-owned car or truck honestly.
How honestly?
We guarantee that each vehicle we sell will come with a bill of sale showing what we paid for the vehicle. You'll pay what we pay, plus an honest fee. Guaranteed.
No gimmicks or tricks?
Nope.
Man, this sounds like a new way to buy a car.
Get an honest car buy from the Honest Car Guy. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME, the number 1, or visit honestcarguy.com.
The warm air, the beautiful weather, and the sounds of baseball. It's got you thinking about hitting the road. And no matter where your adventures take you, Subaru of Gwinnett has a vehicle to get you there safely and in style. Like the 2025 Subaru Outback, which will take you as far as you want to explore with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive plus up to 32 miles per gallon. And if you're up for adventure, it'll get you off the beaten path with up to 9.5 inches of ground clearance. More than the Honda CR-V or Toyota RAV4 or the 2025 Subaru Forester, the SUV for all you love. It's the right-sized SUV for all the adventures ahead with a spacious and comfortable interior for everyone you want to bring along. And no matter where adventure takes you, it starts on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth with the amazing staff at Subaru of Gwinnett. They'll help you find the Subaru that you'll love and be there every step of the way for everything you need. Start your shopping online at SubaruofGwinnett.com.
Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Retirement means different things to different people. Some folks want to travel the world. Some folks want to spend more time with grandkids. For me, I'm looking forward to spending more time with my guitar. Whether extravagant and robust or simple and cozy, every retirement needs a plan. You wouldn't take a trip without directions. You have to know where you are before you know where you're going. Master Plan Retirement Consultants have helped many like you plan for their own retirement. Not only does Master Plan help you create the roadmap, they join you on the journey. So whether you want to travel the world, become a pickleball champ, or just looking for a good porch, a sturdy rocking chair, and an acoustic guitar, remember to plan well because the destination is worth it. Visit masterplanretire.com to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
My name is Patrick, and I'm the Military Outreach Manager at the Warrior Alliance. I served in the U.S. Army as an airborne ranger and deployed to several combat zones in support of the global war on terror. Veterans bring excellence through our work ethic, skills, and civic duty. However, transitioning to civilian life can be difficult, as we all share a loss of purpose when leaving the military. Returning veterans have earned and deserve our support so they can thrive on their journey home. The Warrior Alliance understands the challenge and is helping warriors navigate to success after service. Join us in changing thousands of lives for the better. Donate today at thewarrioralliance.org.
Experience luxury like never before behind the wheel of a brand new Cadillac from Jim Ellis Cadillac.
From the iconic Escalade to the innovative electric Lyric, Jim Ellis Cadillac offers the models you know and love, along with the latest in luxury EVs.
And the buying experience just as luxurious as the Cadillac name itself. With great prices, a great selection, and a team of knowledgeable sales associates, you'll love shopping at their showroom conveniently located on Peachtree Boulevard, just inside the perimeter.
Prefer to shop from home? Visit JimEllisCadillac.com, where you can browse all the latest offers and even start or complete your entire purchase online with the Jim Ellis Expressway.
Want to try before you buy? Schedule an at-home test drive and enjoy the convenience of home vehicle delivery. Luxury is waiting. Experience it today at Jim Ellis Cadillac. Jim Ellis Cadillac, where you can always expect the best.
Jim Ellis, expect the best.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Monday, June 16th. The No Kings protests and rallies held on Saturday across the U.S. had almost 20 different locations in Georgia. At least 8 people were arrested in DeKalb County on charges of obstruction of an officer and unlawful assembly. Police used tear gas to disperse the crowd after protesters began marching on Chamblee-Tugger Road towards 285. The body of a 27-year-old man was recovered from Lake Lanier on Sunday after a 24-hour search. The Department of Natural Resources said Ramon Diaz Soria jumped into the water with a life vest, but it was not secured. And an Atlanta woman is warning commuters after she was scammed out of $800 by the Atlanta Water Boys, who have been known to aggressively sell water at intersections around the city. She said she attempted to send them $5 using a QR code on Cash App, but the code withdrew $800 from her account. Today's weather partly cloudy with scattered thunderstorms this evening. Temperatures will reach the high 80s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne for Extra 106.3.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra. Angela Morabito in for Los this week. 8 o'clock hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier expert. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com. So I had a wonderful Father's Day. First Father's Day I've ever had that my son was not home. He's up in North Carolina playing baseball. So, we're goofing at my house. The only thing I want is for him to have a good game. And he did, and it was great. Aww. I showed you earlier the picture of Game Changer. You just watch it on your phone. It's just dots on the screen.
It's amazing that you can track it.
Yeah, right. It gives you pitch by pitch what's happening, updated score. Any parent that has kids probably has used Game Changer, especially baseball. But that's where we spent, I don't know, 2.5 hours last night just staring at the phone. When you get up, come on, kid, come on, kid, come on, let's get a hit, come on, kid.
I'm glad he had a good game.
Yeah, they did, and the team won. It's great. He's living with a host family up there. They've been wonderful. And he told me, he's like, Dad, the lady, her name is Jerry. He's like, Jerry is such a good baker. And she understands his food allergies because he's allergic to a handful of things, including eggs. But she's a baker, so she knows how to substitute all this stuff. And he was like, he was like, Dad, she makes some of the best baked, treats that you could have, cookies and brownies and all this stuff. And every day I come home, there's something new that she's baked, and she's so kind. But I'm going to weigh 300 pounds. I don't know what to do. He was like, do I take some of them to the ballpark? I don't want to be offended. I don't want to hurt her feelings.
You don't want to turn her down because she's making these amazing treats.
Absolutely right. So he's like, I don't know what to do. He's like, I'm literally going to weigh 300 pounds. He was like, I have to go to the gym twice a day, because he already goes in the morning because I have to go twice a day just to get through this. But it's just so funny and good conversation. And you spent Father's Day with
my husband and my mother-in-law.
Yes, there we go.
Some friends of ours.
Yes, that's right. And because your dad's on a Greek cruise.
He is.
Yeah.
He is living the dream right now, having fun out with my mom and some friends of theirs out in the Mediterranean. So I'm like living for the phone updates and all the pictures.
Right. I lost my dad about 6 years ago. Certainly thought of him yesterday as I was watching the Braves game and then watching my son's baseball game. But there's, it's a Father's Day special to me. I love it and I care about it, but I couldn't help but notice what the Toronto Star, a newspaper up in Canada, wrote. It says on #Father's Day, it's crucial we recognize the importance of mothers. And I was just like, well, wait a minute. Wait, I think we do. And then I look at the community notes below it and it says we do. It's called Mother's Day.
I was like, I thought we had a day for
we
that.
got that one done. I thought so too. And then it gets better. The Tennessee Titans. The NFL team, the Tennessee Titans. They have the what looks like a football field with their logo, and it says Happy Father's Day. And it says Happy Father's Day to all the Titan moms and fatherly figures. What?
They couldn't just say dad?
No. But it's like whoever's running the social media teams have some sort of agenda or some sort of narrative that they want to spread. I can't wrap my head around the stupidity of this. Like the days of woke are dying slowly on the vine, but this is the remnants of it.
Right. We have to be inclusive all the time.
We are. We're including our dads.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we're doing today.
Yes.
And then the rest of the day we'll include everybody else.
Back on Mother's Day, I saw a Mother's Day post that was similar. Someone, Happy Mother's Day to the women who have chosen to not be mothers.
Well, then you wouldn't be a mother.
You're not a mother.
Yeah, you're just a lady.
Then it's just a day. Then it's not Mother's Day or Father's Day. It's just, here's a day.
But how do you downplay the importance of mothers? Because the left, they're in favor of that, downplaying the importance of mothers.
Oh my gosh, of course.
They think it's awful. Like, I don't know what your and your husband's plans are, but I assume it's to start a family one day.
We hope to someday, yes.
And they're frowning upon you for that.
Oh, of course.
The left, they despise you for that. That you would reduce yourself.
Oh, no.
What did Michelle Obama say? She said a woman's reproductive system is not the most important thing about her body, or some crazy statement like that.
Creating life is one of the least important.
Yeah, that's right.
things. And like that's
the magic.
The point of it. Like I'm a long way out from like 7th grade science class, but I do remember that kind of being the point.
That was the miraculous part of being a woman.
Right.
So, but that's again woke dying on the vine. And we still see it. It's not going anywhere. They're going to fight until the last punch is thrown, until it just breathes its last death, dying breath. But the minute a Democrat is reelected to the office of the president, or say they take over the House or take over the Senate, or maybe all three, could happen, maybe down the road. I don't see it happening anytime soon, but maybe down the road. This will be back. They're not giving up on this. This is their plan of attack, because the goal is to bring the United States to its knees.
Yes.
AOC, I've used her quote many times. She said, I think it's okay that the United States is crumbling at the foundation, because then something better could spring up from it, which is a nod to socialism, communism, what she believes.
Right. She wants this drastic revolution. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they attack the foundation of families as well, because if the families are first unit of government and they get that to disintegrate, well, then you can't lean on your family, so you're going to have to lean on the government. And that is what a lot of folks like AOC seem to want.
That's the goal. And it's interesting, on No King's Day, yesterday, or Saturday, I guess. Or was it yesterday? Which way was it? Saturday or yesterday?
I think it was Saturday.
Saturday, that's right, yeah. On Saturday, these are the same people that don't want you to be able to succeed on your own. They don't like the fact that you don't worship at the altar of government, because their whole thing is communism and socialism, which is government provided healthcare, government provided employment, government provided everything. That sounds much more like a king than anything Donald Trump is doing.
Oh yeah, it's put all your trust in this one thing.
Bow at the altar of government.
Yes, and it can decide everything about your life.
Absolutely.
Even when you're allowed to leave your house.
Right.
Or gather in groups.
Which they did during COVID. It's alarming most often. And a woman I know you have a lot of, I don't know if experience with is the right way of putting it, but you have a lot of knowledge of, Randi Weingarten.
Yes, I think every parent in America has experienced the impact of Randi Weingarten.
Without a doubt, because she is a woman who's personally damaged your kids' and grandkids' education. I want you to listen to her. She showed up at the No Kings protest on Saturday. Listen to this.
You are the community to this president's chaos. And together, we build a future of opportunity and justice for all. Hope over fear, aspiration over anger, the promise of America for each and every American. That is what we are fighting for today.
Sound very angry. Aspiration over anger, as she shouts and waves her hand, shakes her fist.
As she screams. I don't know what Randi did yesterday, but I hope it involved like a cup of tea, a throat lozenge, because she was just giving that everything she got. Well, Randi Weingarten is a big supporter and backer of these No King's Day protests. Yeah. So if you are a teacher member and you don't necessarily agree with what she's doing, too bad. She is claiming to represent you and backing these anti-Trump protests to the point where the AFT, her union, is an official partner of the No Kings organization.
Yeah, right.
She also hosted a webinar last week. She had a big Zoom call. I was on it, where she trained people.
Oh, wow. Lucky you. What did you learn?
How to protest. Not a lot. Her most practical advice was to bring a water bottle. And I'm like...
That was the training for the protest?
That was pretty much the extent of the training. It was a lot of, we don't like this, we don't like that, we oppose immigration enforcement, we, believe in all these things that have nothing to do with teaching or learning. Nothing about this was educational. And then at the end, she was kind of like, oh, yeah, stay hydrated.
And don't forget your water bottle.
Right.
See, but that's where they are. They have no message. They have no power, because all they do is scream and shout. That didn't resonate with the American people back in November when Donald Trump was elected. What is that, 8 months ago now? They don't have anything. They're literally left to just scream and shout.
Yes.
That's what they have. And they don't have any opposition ideas. They just are the resistance. We'll resist what he says. Anything he says, we're going against it. And we're going to cuss more. I've learned that is part of the Democrat strategy, is we need to talk like working people talk, so we need to cuss more. And I was just like, well, wait a minute. I don't know that's a good strategy, but that's their ideas.
It sounds so phony, and it sounds fake coming from her, because, look, we all remember COVID. Everybody remembers how she was on the side of, well, we can't reopen until we have Medicare for all. Her union affiliate in Chicago was also part of these protest this past weekend was saying things like the push to reopen schools is rooted in sexism, racism, and misogyny.
But now back away from it. Now they pretend that none of that stuff happened.
Oh, yes. Now to hear her tell it, she was on the side of reopening schools. And I'm like, Randy, honey, I was there.
Honey, sister, sweetheart.
I was there. I was in the room with former Secretary DeVos, and she had the CDC director with her, and they were saying, we are giving you every resource and every opportunity, and Congress has allocated billions upon billions of dollars to help you reopen. And Randy was not on board with that. So she's trying to rewrite history. She's also trying to write the future and say the future of American education has to look like buckets of funding and zero accountability.
Imagine that. Imagine that being your platform. We're going to fund it all. We're going to pay for it. We're going to pay for everything. And if it doesn't work, well, I mean, we just did our best. I mean, that's kind of the feeling.
We gave it a shot.
But then she'll say, if we get more funding, that'll change. It'll get better. But yet, we've not seen that happen from the beginning. It's done everything but. Since the 70s, our education, our levels of education, how good our education levels are.
Yep, our literacy
rates. You've brought up a million times. How well our kids are educated has slipped and slipped. What are we, 34th in the world or something crazy?
Something like that. Yeah. We are middle of the road at best. Like, that's putting it generously.
But spend the most.
Of course.
Randy Weingarten getting a little piece of that.
Mm-hmm. She wants more teacher members, more dues money, more power, more voters, more everything.
It's unbelievable. It really is. I want you to hear from one of the protesters. It was a liberal woman. And as we've seen and shared on the show, Pew Research, and Nate Silver himself, a Democrat, a self-described Democrat that runs 538, he is a guy that says people on the left struggle with mental health issues much more greatly than people on the right. And that leads me to this woman. Listen to her talking about what she's horrified of during the No Kings protest.
I'm just so scared. I'm 74 years old. I worry about everything, and I just am so scared and upset, and I don't understand why people voted for this person.
This woman is unhinged.
This poor woman.
This poor woman is scared to death because ABC and CBS and NBC and MSNBC and CNN, all of them tell her to be scared, and that's where she gets her information. She's 74. That's where she gets her news. That's where she's been trained to get her news.
Yes.
And they've scared her to death.
She lived through the first Trump administration.
Right.
She knows that he can be the president, and it can go really pretty well.
That's right.
I don't know what she thinks is going to happen this time around, but you hear that clip, and to your point, Tug, you were saying she's been taught all these things. We can probably name a bunch of shows she watches every day.
The View.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel Maddow. I
course.
guarantee you, anything my Aunt Peg watches, this woman watches. They're relatively the same age. My Aunt Peg just a tick younger than her. But she gets all of her information from mainstream media. And this is not to poke fun at baby boomers, because it's not, because I know plenty of them that have said, I'm not getting my mama being one of them. She doesn't listen to the mainstream media anymore. Yeah. She learned, she was a Democrat until like 5 or 6 years ago.
Wow.
She didn't know.
What was the change for her? What changed her mind?
I think it was the first Trump presidency, and just the fact that she goes, well, wait a minute. I'm not in favor of abortion. I'm not in favor of open borders. I'm not in favor of any of these things that they tell me I need to be in favor of. And I'd been telling her for years. I was like, Mama, you realize that your conservative values, your church-going values, do not align with anything in the Democrat Party. And it took her a really long time. I bet I told her that for 10 years.
Wow.
And she would tell me how great Hillary Clinton was. She'd tell me how great Bill Clinton was. And somewhere around 2008, 2006, between 8 and 16, that 8-year window, is when she started really seeing the light. And she doesn't get her news from mainstream media anymore. And she's not misled like those people are.
I would hope that the woman crying in that clip takes that approach. And even just go outside, interact with the world. You'll realize this guy is not falling.
Yeah. Breathe some fresh air.
Yes.
Because she's out there, but there was no fresh air to be found because there was tear gas everywhere because people were tearing things up, setting them on fire.
Yep. If all you see is panic, you're going to absorb it.
When we continue, a system error that allows illegals to be hired is a problem for employers next. On Extra 106.3 Tug and Los until 10. Angela Morabito in for Front Office Los this week on the Morning Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Here are your sports headlines for Monday, June 16th. The Braves have the day off today after they dropped the final game in the home series against the Colorado Rockies on Sunday, 10-1. The Mets come to town tomorrow evening. Spencer Schwellenbach will take the mound against David Peterson. First pitch is set for 7:15. In the NBA, the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder are tied at 2 games apiece for the championship after the Thunder beat the Pacers 111-104 Friday night. Game 5 is set for tonight in Oklahoma. Tip-off is scheduled for 8:30. And in the Stanley Cup Finals, the Florida Panthers lead the Edmonton Oilers 3-2. The Panthers beat the Oilers Saturday night, scoring 5-2 for Edmonton. The series picks up again tomorrow night in Miami. The puck drops at 8 o'clock. With your sports headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
Hey, Atlanta, it's Front Office Los. Let's talk about True Prep, the superstore when it comes to getting ready for anything and everything that could possibly happen in this world. Or, hey, maybe you're just an outdoor enthusiast. You want to get out there, you want to be safe, you want to do it correctly, and you want some extra supplies. Well, True Prep's got you covered there. But if you're like me and you're always concerned about what can possibly happen in society, what can possibly happen with the weather, listen, I've been through some stuff. I try to be ready. I'm big into freeze-dried food. Well, that's where you go over to True Prep. Again, you can go to Cobb Parkway in Marietta. How awesome is it that one of the biggest and best stores in the country for this equipment, for these supplies, for these protective measures is right in your backyard. When it comes to guns and ammo, that protection, they've got plenty of it, and they're going to give you a great price. Also, you can always go over to their website, trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. They've added a couple things to it. First off, they have their sales and clearance section. That is their hot deals. That changes every single day. Also, they do have their used guns and gear. And what I will tell you, some of the best prices you will find on any of this equipment for your personal security. Head on over to the store. Again, Cobb Parkway in Marietta, or just go online, trueprep.com. That's truprep.com to prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow with True Prep.
Summer is here, and it's time to enjoy your outdoor oasis as a family. Don't know where to begin? At Stovall & Company, we have everything you need to make your landscaping dreams come true. From premium mulch and topsoil to a wide variety of plants, trees, shrubs, and annuals, Stovall has it all. Check us out at StovallInc.com.
Retirement components look different for everyone because everyone is unique, but there are major components everyone needs in their retirement. So, Coach Pete, what are things that need to be covered with everyone?
The 4 main things we go over: retirement planning. Everyone needs a retirement plan. We're all going to retire eventually. We need to make sure our money's waiting for us when we get there instead of us waiting for our money. And then we need asset allocation and investment guidance. In other words, where is your money? Why is it there? And should it stay there? Or when do we move it around every now and then? Or should we move it? Is it a good time to move it now? Then tax planning. Nothing in writing that says you have to overpay. When you're in retirement, you want taxes in your favor, not against you. And then estate, succession, legacy planning.
For a complete retirement review, comprehensive and customized, call Coach Pete's local trusted advisor, Craig Chandler of Chandler Wealth Management. 800-419-6164. 800-419-6164. Again, 800-419-6164.
Gentlemen, listen up. When it's not hard, it's really hard. Did you know that 50% of men over 50 have some form of ED? It's true, and I'm one of them. ED followed me everywhere. Heck, even my initials are ED. I'm Dr. Eric Deal from Total Body Therapy of Georgia, and I know ED. It can lead to feelings of embarrassment, stress, and sadness. But there's good news. I can fix it. I fixed mine, and I can fix yours too. At Total Body Therapy of Georgia, we are experts in the P-shot, testosterone replacement, regenerative therapy, Trimix to create an erection, and more. Guys, ED won't get better on its own, but I can help you today. Call us at 404-777-1911. That's 404-777-1911, or learn about us more online at tbtofga.com. So take it from me, ED. Dr. Eric Deal at Total Body Therapy of Georgia. Call 404-777-1911 or online at tbtofga.com.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
There's a tidal wave of clean car happiness sweeping across Braves country. Tidal Wave Auto Spa is your go-to car wash destination for a game day ready ride. Experience Major League Clean at Tidal Wave, the official car wash of the Atlanta Braves. Stay clean car happy all season long with membership discounts, exclusive giveaways, and more. Visit TidalWaveAutoSpa.com/Braves for details.
My car is happy. I am happy. Tidal Wave Auto Spa.
From the latest breaking news to the conservative voices you know and trust, your best new follow on social media is Extra 1063. We're at XTRA 1063 on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and LinkedIn, and pretty much any social media you scroll through every day. And we drop exclusive giveaways, new daily content, and the latest breaking news from Georgia and across this great nation. Interact with your favorite Extra personalities. Get the latest on our live events and so much more. Follow at Extra 1063 across all your social media and keep up with Atlanta's only conservative voice.
Just all the funniest meme I'll share with you before we get to this E-Verify issue that we're having. And it is one of the South Park characters, and it says, "Woke up this morning, still no king." You did it, Libs. You did it. No kings.
They nailed it. Great job, everybody.
Boy, good job. Don't you love them? Isn't it great that they were out there protesting the way that they did, setting cities on fire and the things that they were doing there. And it blew up. The only places that really had any presence of note was the big blue cities anyway, which we're going to have them anyway. L.A.,
right.
Chicago, Philadelphia. You were going to have those cities involved for sure. They're leftist breeding grounds or communist breeding grounds, so of course you're going to have them there. But, I saw a handful of them around Metro Atlanta. Nothing. And funny, some of them had they were going to be out there for an hour. They'd set it for we're going to be there noon to 1, or we're going to be there, 2 to 3, or whatever.
That's quick. I guess you can check the box and be like, I protested today.
Virtue signaling at its finest, yeah. So anyway, look, they didn't raise any problems, at least that I know of, across Metro Atlanta. Maybe some DeKalb, maybe some Decatur. A little bit of something went on there, but overall, I think it was pretty calm. I didn't, and I was all about Metro Atlanta over into Gwinnett County. Went over to Subaru of Gwinnett and had my wife's car, serviced. So we went that way over. I mean, I thought maybe there would be something over that way, Duluth, but nope, not a peep. Drove back, had no problem. Went up to Cumming this weekend, doing some birthday and Father's Day celebrations Saturday. Nothing. I was in downtown Alpharetta. Nothing. Johns Creek. They said there was something that went on in Johns Creek. I don't know. I didn't see it. And I was through Johns Creek a few times. But so I don't know. Maybe I just didn't hit at the right hour-long schedule.
Yeah, I must have missed it too. I was actually at a baby shower on Saturday celebrating a dear friend's coming new arrival. So we had a very, very fun day. Thank you. But I was worried about coming back into Atlanta, knowing that these protests could be happening. I'm ready for Women's March Part 2. I'm like, this is going to be chaos.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Zero problems.
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know if they call it a success. I'm sure they do. I'm sure the mainstream media calls it a success, but I don't know. It seemed like a pretty big dud to me in light of everything. So apparently there's a system error that keeps E-Verify from working. Is that what I'm saying? Is that the correct thing that's happening and employers are struggling with this?
These stories are bubbling up on social media. So E-Verify is this program created by the federal government that employers are supposed to use to make sure that the folks they hire are eligible to work in the United States, meaning that they're not here illegally. Well, some states E-Verify is mandatory if your company is a certain size. Georgia is one of those states.
Yep.
But just recently, there was a huge ICE operation in Nebraska. They arrested more than 100 illegal immigrants who were working at a food processing plant in Omaha. Well, the leader of that plant has come out and said, how did this happen? I used E-Verify.
That burns.
And he is claiming the ICE official told him E-Verify is broken.
Uh-oh.
So this story comes out, and more people are saying, oh, there are ways around it. People are buying Social Security numbers. This is how people can come to this country illegally, take jobs that would otherwise go to lawful American citizens or permanent residents, and get away with it. And it would not shock me if E-Verify, like every other government system, has very serious problems. So I hope that we see some of the Doge folks take an interest in this program that is supposed to protect the American economy and actually make sure it functions, because, gosh, you look at these stories on social media and it looks like this thing has got all kinds of issues.
Those leftists would tell you that the government can run everything. Those
that's
leftists
right.
tell you that healthcare will be better, that everything will
Yes.
be everything will be equitable. Everybody will make the same amount of money. It'll be socialist utopia. That's what the left would tell you. And yet, they can't even get E-Verify right.
They can't get E-Verify to work.
I've not seen anything aside from the military, and it has its issues, major issues. Maybe some of it is intentional in the way that the left treats the military. So maybe there's some logic in their crazy. But there's very, very few things that the federal government does well. So it wouldn't surprise me at all that E-Verify doesn't work. It's the main reason, because of the inefficiency and the ineffectiveness of government altogether, but the federal government specifically, that I think things should be run at the state level. Things should be run at the local level, because that's where you're closest to the people. Now, I'm not saying that's going to solve all the problems, but I think smaller government and less government at the federal level is really, really smart because of things just like this.
Yes. You look at all the things that Doge has uncovered already, and even with Elon out the door at that level of government, I am thrilled that the Doge mission is continuing.
Sure.
Because everything the government was running and telling us was this wonderful humanitarian operation was a money pit that didn't help the people it claimed to. It just spent American tax dollars on things that didn't matter, that did not advance our interests, that didn't make a difference around the world.
And that'll continue as long as the federal government has its hands, and as long as there's leftists in the federal government, which there always going to be. You're always going to have a battle. It's always going to be an uphill battle. The war is never over. The fight is never over. And that's the thing that I think some conservatives step into, the pit that they step into. Because they're like, okay, finally, we won. It's like after the Cold War. Finally, we won. And
we're done.
We're done. Everything's going to be great from now on. And for about 20 years, it felt that way. But what you didn't see was under the surface, those leftists, those same communists that want to destroy America, that want to destroy the way of life that you and I love and replace it as AOC. Good that it crumbles, then something else can spring up. What do you think she's referring to? That's what they've been working on for the last 40 years. Now, the fight never ends, and I think people have to realize that. It's not it's not encouraging. It's probably maybe even discouraging. But you have to. If you don't fight, they're not going to quit. So you are going to lose. Your way is going to lose.
Yes. As soon as we give an inch, there are folks who will take a mile. Exactly. And this E-Verify thing, I mean, it's a federal system. Do we think that every administration has been trying to make sure it works? I don't think about that. I don't think that's right.
The last administration certainly did not. The last administration, that's probably the reason it doesn't work.
Yep.
They probably took half of it down intentionally. They probably hacked their own system and wrote some crazy code that make it not work.
Yep. And
it was intentional. It was probably thought through.
Totally. And as you mentioned earlier, there are folks on the right who disagree with E-Verify being a good idea. Thomas Massey is out there saying this is government surveillance. It will be used to track Americans. That's a worthwhile concern.
Absolutely it is.
But do I think our system should work well while we have them? Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. I like Thomas Massey too. I don't always agree with him on everything, but I love the fact that he's out front. He's one of the folks that I think are trying to do the right thing in the federal government. He gets slapped around a little bit, but he takes the abuse and bounces right back.
He does.
And he doesn't change his message no matter who he's talking to.
Not at all.
I do admire him for that. When we come back, Trump's instinct when it comes to the Middle East is peace. Next on the Morning Xtra, the 8 o'clock hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Your Atlanta carrier experts, 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com is their website.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3.
Okay, for today's version of Stirring the Pudding, we're going to make you the news director of a TV or radio station or the editor of a newspaper. You have reporters out there covering the riots in Los Angeles and Atlanta and the peaceful protest in my home of Naples, Florida. And you notice that those signs that these people are carrying, they're not all the same. But the ones that are obviously mass-produced have a little line there at the bottom of the sign. The line says, Party for Socialism and Liberation. So your reporter in the field does his or her stand-up. Your news reporter for the newspaper reports dutifully on all of the events taking place out there. Now, there will be pictures and video of these signs. And if you look closely at those pictures and videos, you will see at the bottom, Party for Socialism and Liberation. Now, if your reporter or you as the editor decide to look at that party and say, what party is this? Here's the information you would come up with. From Wikipedia, Party for Socialism and Liberation, Communist Party of the United States. The definition would be the Party for Socialism and Liberation is a communist political party in the United States, formed in 2004 when its members split from the Workers' World Party. Now, if a little bit of research shows you that a lot of these signs and support for these riots are coming really from the Communist Party, would that be worth including in your news story? The Communist Party lending all of that aid and support and signs and whatnot for the riots? I think so, but then that's just me. Obviously, our mainstream media doesn't think so. And the way it goes. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
The future of business in Georgia is bright, and Georgia Power is a driving force behind the businesses and organizations that are vital to the growth of the state. Just ask Brandon Hutchison, Executive Vice President and General Manager of Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Make no mistake about it, we're big customers of Georgia Power. It really is a true partnership. We've ran NASCAR's highest level of racing. In the early days of Atlanta Motor Speedway, Atlanta International Raceway, as it were, they raced twice a year, and that was about it. And then we started figuring out that this is an 850-acre campus that can do so much more. And it's not just the larger events that impact the region. It's the local events that really impact our community. It's a big responsibility for us to be such a big player in our community. And there's no doubt that Georgia Power has fan experience front of mind all the time.
To learn more about how Georgia Power is helping businesses big and small, visit GeorgiaPower.com and tune in all year to discover how they're powering the future of Georgia. WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
From crawling through crops to walking into court. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Vance Belter will do this afternoon in Minnesota after he was captured last night in a field.
There's no question that this is the largest manhunt in the state's history.
Brooklyn Park Police Chief Mark Bruley. Belter had 4 guns and a list of names when he was found, already charged with murder and attempted murder, accused in Saturday's shootings of 2 state lawmakers and their spouses.
Dressed like a police officer, he wore a Halloween-style mask and drove what looked like a squad car. He went to the homes of 2 powerful Minnesota politicians, shooting them and their spouses, killing 1 couple. The list he had apparently had other names of politicians he may have planned to kill.
Fox's Matt Finn in Brooklyn Park. There's no end to the new conflict in the Middle East.
Israeli fighter jets are currently striking a series of new targets inside Iran.
And Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just told troops at an airbase after taking out Iran's defenses, they now control the skies over Tehran. As Israel also continues to strike missiles and damage Iran's nuclear facilities, aiming to prevent them from building weapons. Fox's Trey Yingst also reports from Tel Aviv.
This follows ballistic missile fire launched by the regime overnight at both central and northern Israel. 8 people were killed in those strikes, 5 impact areas, and significant damage caused to residential blocks.
President Trump says the U.S. is not involved in the Iran-Israel battle, something he'll talk about with other world leaders at a G7 summit today in Canada. Before flying there, he told reporters,
sometimes they have to fight it out, but we're going to see what happens. I think there's a good chance there'll be a deal.
The White House also intends to advance trade and energy talks here. AI and migration are also on the agenda.
That's Fox's Jared Halpert in Calgary. The search continues in West Virginia for several people still missing after heavy rain triggered flash flooding in the Wheeling area, killing 6 others. Days after floods left 13 people dead in San Antonio, Texas area. America's listening to Fox News.
Summer is all about making memories, right? Backyard barbecues, road trips, maybe finally getting around to that hiking trail you've been eyeballing. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. So here's a thought. Call 1-800-4RELIEF and try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made from natural ingredients. Best part? Relief Factor doesn't mask pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's kayaking, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in a hammock, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So if you're ready to reclaim your summer, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 1-800-4RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
Can't afford to fill your grocery bags or gas tank? Fill your day with the best conservative talk for free by downloading the Extra 1063 app wherever you download your apps.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra. 9 o'clock hours brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. Windows, doors, siding, roofing, gutters. They do it all. With all this rain that we've had and all the rain that's still in the forecast, if you've got a spot on the roof that needs to be fixed or a roof that needs to be replaced, call them at 877-9-SOUTHERN, southernexteriors.co. 10% off any deal, any job that you do, or 0% financing for 12 months. It is totally up to you how you handle it. Angela Morabito in for Front Office Los. Angela spent so much time in Washington, D.C., nearly 13 years. Was the spokeswoman for the Department of Education there while you're there.
It's great to be with you, and it is certainly an exciting time, not just in education, but in the second Trump administration.
It's totally different, would you say, because you're inside the first Trump administration, so much different this time around, it appears.
It is. He has taken a stronger position, I think, on a lot of things, where in the first Trump administration, a lot of his leadership was overshadowed by the opposition.
Mm-hmm.
Now the
including the opposition on his own side.
Oh, yeah. Well, now that opposition is falling apart. It exists a little bit, as we talked about in the last segment. But he has a generational opportunity to make a change, and he's taking advantage of it, right? He has wasted no time in getting started, and I think that's created certainly an interesting environment. He's done more in half a year than some presidents do in 4 years.
No question about it. And he's taken what the American people gave him, a mandate, and he's implemented it. Maybe the first president, at least in my lifetime that I recall, saying, here's what I'm going to do, and then actually doing it.
Yes.
Physically said, this is what I'm running on, this is what I'm campaigning on, and as soon as he hit the ground, he started doing it.
There was a flurry of executive orders right off the bat. This is somebody who was absolutely prepared to take office and prepared to make really necessary and difficult changes.
We talked about this many times on our show, and I know you brought it up when you sat in with Los when I was out a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, is that you gave him 4 years to plan.
Yes.
He was able to figure out, who do I want for the Department of Education Secretary?
Right.
Who do I want for HHS, DHS? He was able to say, these are the people I want. Where when the first administration rolled around, he was a rookie.
He was new.
He had no idea. And they said, all right, here's the people we think will be good for you. It turns out all those people were snakes. All those people were part of the establishment, part of the corruptness, the corrupt things in D.C. that we all despise and everybody voted against to get him back in office, to put him back in office. So the Democrats thought they were doing themselves a favor when they won the election of 2020, because I don't believe they did. They thought, man, as soon as we get him out of here, as soon as we convict him, all these these 34 felonies, it's going to be the end of the road for him. And it was the exact opposite.
Right.
Because the truth matters. And that's, I say it on the show all the time, Angela. The truth matters. And when you tell the truth, it will be, it may take a while. It may take a while for it to always filter through, but when the truth is told, that will ultimately be known. I believe that. I think the good book tells me that the truth matters. And when you go after somebody the way you did, and I'm not trying to make him some deity by any means, because I don't worship at the altar of Trump. Jesus is the only one I worship. That's it. That's the only person. I try to reflect him in everything I do. And Donald Trump, not perfect by any means, but I do believe that he had time to plan, and I do believe that day in Butler changed him forever. How it changed him, I can't tell you. I don't know his heart. I can tell you what I see and what I think and what I interpret. But that day in Butler, Pennsylvania changed him, and I think he feels like this is a bigger task than even he thought in the beginning, and with more of a mandate than he thought from the American people.
That's true. I was listening to J.D. Vance last week talk about what it was like to watch the election returns. And he said those first few districts started coming in the Midwest where he realized they had outperformed even their own internal polling expectations. And it dawns on him that he's going to be the vice president.
Wow.
So this was, I think they predicted that they were going to win. They didn't know by how much.
Right.
So like you said, more of a mandate than they initially realized.
Yeah, and from a higher level than just the American people. I feel like there may have been some grace in there, some divine intervention, if you will. Because, again, going back to just the truth, and you never heard the truth for the last 4 years. The truth was it was gone. It was not in public sight. There was never anything that the Biden administration said or did that I felt like that they were coming from a truthful point of view. Everything was manipulated. Everything was low down. Everything was underhanded, and everything was anti-American. And the American people saw that, and they rejected it wholly, and they still do. The No Kings protest seemed to be a big dud. A friend of mine and a friend of the show, Gary Miller, reached out. He's with Rebel InfoSec, former Spec Ops guy, just an incredible dude, guy that that anybody could spend some time with and be like, wow, this dude's got it together.
Oh, cool.
Super cool dude. He sent a picture of the No Kings protest in downtown Woodstock, which I know, Jeray, that's up where you live.
Yeah.
Did you see, because I asked him the question, I hadn't gotten an answer back from him yet. Oh, yeah, here we go. So I asked him, was it mostly boomers in that crowd in Woodstock? And he just sent me yes. The answer is yes. And I always go back to, where do baby boomers get their news? And that will tell you where they fall politically.
Well, not just Woodstock, but I saw a lot of videos from around the country that some of these folks were literally just taking the nursing homes.
That's exactly right.
Sticking the signs in their hands and wheeling them right out.
I don't know if any of them, because I saw that video too, multiple, not just one singular video, multiple videos of that same thing, carrying the already pre-prepared No Kings sign. It's almost like it was a field trip for assisted living homes.
It did look that way, which is sad. And
I don't know if that's the truth, but it's what it looked.
But you think about the contrast between that and the Obama years, where that was a youth movement.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Now it is not, because Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they are not watching MSNBC. They're not watching CNN. They're scrolling on X, formerly known as Twitter. They're listening to radio and podcasts. They're listening to creators on Instagram and TikTok. Now, do I think you should get your political views from TikTok?
No, definitely not.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
But they're searching out viewpoints that they're not going to get on MSDNC, as the president calls it.
Okay, and he's not wrong about that. And the other thing is, you're seeing a quadruple the number of Gen Zs going to church, finding bigger things in their lives, things that matter more than just the everyday grind of politics. And they're turning out because of their church attendance. I would think that definitely has to be influence there. But the fact that they want to start a family, that they like traditional values, that they recognize the need for traditional values, super encouraging. So there is a youth movement that's happening inside this movement, much like it did back in 2008. But in a very different form, because they saw what that gave us, that Obama, those Obama years gave us. They saw what Hillary Clinton stood for. They saw for the last years what Joe Biden, as president, as quote unquote president, because he definitely wasn't. There's a board of directors handling it all.
President Otto Penn.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But they saw what that group of people wanted to give them, and they've rejected it. And I'm encouraged by it because my son's about to turn 21, and he's got probably 8 or 9 buds that they've been best buds since they were 7, 8 years old.
Wow.
And there's one that is a leftist. We'll just call him. I mean, he is. Great kid, love him. He's just so misguided politically. And one that's kind of a hanger-on leftist. Change. He was like, he told me years ago when they were still in high school, he's like, I want you to help me start the Young Republicans organization at our school, at our high school. And I was like, okay, all right. And then so he's gone and flip-flopped just because I think he gets, told what to think, and he's easily influenced and does. But the others, the other 7 or 8, or how many there are altogether, they're so strong in their convictions about conservative values and the way that they look at the world.
That's a big deal.
That is encouraging, so encouraging to me. And those are the kids that voted for Donald Trump. I mean, if you look at the youth vote, Donald Trump got it.
Because what is the progressive left selling that? They're selling them, we're going to lock you out of school. We're the reason you can't go to prom. Your graduation has to be a drive-by parade.
That.
Yeah, they lived through it. So they have seen how that version of government doesn't work. It doesn't help people. And they're looking for, okay, well, there's got to be something better than this. And they're finding that in church. I think that's very special.
I say it all the time. When you're looking for belonging, find yourself a church. Maybe give that a try.
It's a good place to be.
I'm telling you, if you're looking for community, how about a good community? How about a community that doesn't set the streets on fire, doesn't set buildings on fire, don't need tear gas shot at them?
Yeah, with people you can trust.
I'm just saying, is church a perfect place? By no means. It is a hospital for sinners, if anything else. But I do believe it's people that are looking for the right direction, even if they've not found it yet. And people that realize that they themselves are not, perfect or not even good for that matter. And they're finding that there is something out there that is. You've just got to go look for it. You've just got to be open-minded enough to find it. You've got to be able to turn off the news or turn off social media, turn off all the noise around you, and find that place that is good, that is positive. And for me, it's always church on Sunday morning. It's something that our family has always done, and that I'm very proud that my son continues that even today, even as about to be 21-year-old. He's away from home for the summer, and he still finds time to go to church, and I love that. And if there's one part of my child-rearing experience, I was no expert, there's no book. I just know how I was raised, and I try to implement that there. But the fact that he still goes to church on his own is my greatest accomplishment.
That's amazing.
If I were able to take a victory lap, which I'm not going to, but that would be the one. But that would be the one. And does that mean he's perfect? No. Good Lord, no. He's everything but perfect because he's related to me. It's impossible to be perfect if you're related to me. But that's the whole point to go to church is you realize you're not. And there only one that was. So I think that's why so many people have gravitated towards Trump. And even the minority groups that are like, wait a minute, they've promised us so much over the years. They've never created an environment, fostered an environment that we could be successful.
Yeah, they've delivered nothing.
They've delivered zero. They told us they're going to give us the world and delivered nothing. Donald Trump says, I'm not going to give you anything. I'm going to foster an environment, an economy so you can be successful on your own. And I think most people are good with that. I think that's what most people are looking for. Give me the opportunity to make my own way.
No one wants to be politically angry every waking minute of their lives unless they've watched too much of The View.
19% of the country, I would say, maybe.
That's probably true. There are some people where it's like, that's why they get up in the morning.
To yell and scream and holler. But I think you're right, and the majority of Americans don't want to be angry every day.
Right.
It's the last thing I want to be.
They're just saying, okay, get the government out of the way. Just let me live my life. That's why this country was founded on, is get the government out of the way, let me live my life.
And let's continue that. That's the beauty. And I also think when Donald Trump looks at the world as it is, just chaos everywhere. With the Israelis attacking the Iranians, which I'm in favor of. I think they're making the right choice. I want them to be able to defend themselves. The Iranians have basically said, we want to wipe. You do not deserve to live. We believe that you should be wiped off the face of the earth. October 7th backed that up. If you needed something to back it up, they've been saying it for 50 years. They've been saying it since the inception of the Israeli state. So for them to act out and go fix the problem that they see, I'm all for. Now, I understand why Donald Trump, he's the guy that says, I want us to stay out of this. We're going to support our ally, the only free place in the entire Middle East. We're going to support them. And look, I think that will do great good around the world. And the diminished abilities of the Iranians is good for everyone, their friends and their enemies.
Yes.
It's good for everybody. But I think Donald Trump, when he had the chance to allow them to pull the trigger, to take out the Ayatollah, to take out the supreme commander of the Iranians, he said no, because I think he understands that we're not good at nation building. We've proven that over and over and over. The United States is good at a lot of things. That's not one of them. And I think this is an opportunity for him to say, look, Middle East, all the other countries, I'm coming to you saying, let's be peaceful. I still, even in the face of this, I still want Iran to have the opportunity to come to the negotiating table and to stop enriching uranium that we know is for nuclear weapons. We're giving them the chance. And then the rest of those countries in the Middle East, they can't look at that in any other way except for, I'm trying to be the diplomat here and be peace and foster peace in the Middle East.
That Israel's fight is a noble fight, but it doesn't have to be our fight.
That's right.
We want to back them up. We want to support them because they're doing a good thing that makes the world safer. Does that mean we go in and take out the Ayatollah? No.
The one thing that comes up, and this is going to be a story for later in the week, you're going to see this story blow up. The Israelis do not have the firepower to get to the biggest, the research facility that's in a mountain or under a mountain. The name of it escapes me. I had it in front of me.
Ferdow.
Ferdow, there we go. That's the one. They don't have the firepower to get to it. Only the United States does. So that puts the president in a tricky situation. Do you get rid of that because that's best for the world, certainly best for the United States, or do you stay out of this and let maybe the Iranian people topple their own dictators? It's a question worth asking, because there's that bit of me that's like, let's go get it done. We know it needs to be done. But then there's that other part of me that says, I don't want to be involved in another war, another forever war. I don't want this to turn into Afghanistan. I don't want this to turn into Iraq or Kuwait or any of that stuff.
Yeah, and Iran is huge, just geographically, economically, population-wise. It's a really big place, and I know that may sound really obvious to a lot of people, but I did not realize this. I did some Googling this past weekend. Israel's about the size of New Jersey.
New Jersey, that's right.
Iran is larger than Alaska.
Yeah, that's a big spot.
This is David and Goliath.
It is.
Nation building in Iraq didn't go well. We don't want to try it in Iran.
Which is my tendency to believe that Donald Trump is doing the right thing here.
Yes.
I don't want the U.S. involved. I don't want our sons and daughters drug into a war. I want to be as peaceful as possible. I'm no pacifist by any means. As a guy that served in the Navy, the last thing I want to do is something that's detrimental to the United States long term. But I believe in this situation, it is best to sit back and wait and just let this progress. I'm not saying we won't ever get involved or we won't ever have to get involved. If we have to, we do. That's not my intent. That's not my wish. And I don't think that's the president's wish either.
Well, we have been involved in a way. You know, we're not being the aggressors in this, but we have helped defend already and shoot down some of these missiles and drones that Iran has sent over to Israel. And I'm okay with that.
Sure.
If we start dropping bombs over there, that's a different thing.
That's totally different.
It's a new level.
Because some of these missiles have gotten through to Israel. And
that's right. Eight civilians.
Eight civilians have been confirmed to have been killed.
And we know 2 people in the IDF. Our family knows 2 people in the IDF, and so we're certainly praying for them, and hopefully they're very safe. Strangely enough, my son's girlfriend in 11th grade, he was in 11th grade, she was a senior. They were really close in age, but separated by a grade. They dated for like a year, and now she's in the IDF.
Wow.
She's Israeli, so she's there. Her brother's also, I think, a spec ops guy in the IDF, so probably has some involvement in what's happening. So we're praying for their safety, and are so proud of them for being as brave as they are and doing the things that need to be done. It's extraordinary to see.
What they've pulled off is like, if you pitched it as a movie, I would never get the green light. You'd be like, oh, that's Mission Impossible. Like, that's not realistic. It's incredible. The Israeli intelligence was deconstructing drones and quadcopters and sneaking in the parts into Iran, and then like IKEA building them back together. They built a drone base near Tehran.
And had so many spies inside the Iranian government, now that some of them have been evacuated too. The Mossad did some incredible work. I would imagine with a lot of U.S. intelligence guiding the way, at least lending a hand with intel and how to get in and out. It is nothing short of miraculous what they've been able to pull off.
Yeah, they've crippled Iran's ability to respond in any way.
And now on top of that, throw in, now they're bombing the natural gas resources, the oil resources that usually gets bought from China, usually gets bought by Russia, two of the people that also don't care too much for the United States of America. So it seems like we're winning just by sitting back and watching it happen, being a spectator versus a participant, at least an active participant. When we continue on Extra 106.3, Riley Gaines' statement about Christianity is 100% correct. Next on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3.
Your favorite Extra shows are streaming live video from the studio on Extra 106.3's YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Extra YouTube channel and get the Morning Extra and the Kimmer Show in live digital video.
Life is unpredictable, but when trouble comes, you need a team you can trust. At A Second Chance Bail Bonds, we've been helping families for nearly 20 years, providing fast, professional, and discreet service. With 12 locations across Metro Atlanta and Birmingham, we're available 24/7 to get your loved one home, quick and with care. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call 404-BAIL-OUT, that's 404-BAIL-OUT, or visit atlbail.com today.
Military veterans are eager to transfer their skills and experiences to civilian life, but lack trusted connections to expedite their path to success. That is, until they meet the Warrior Alliance. The Warrior Alliance goes the extra mile to reach veterans in their communities so they do not have to take this journey alone. With over 40 partners across 10 service areas, your donation goes a long way toward achieving maximum impact for a veteran and their family. Go to thewarrioralliance.org to donate today and commit to helping the Warrior Alliance change thousands of lives for the better.
Jaron Solomon here, and this June, Solomon Brothers Jewelers is celebrating the people who make our world sparkle, you. All month long, we're giving back to the customers, partners, and charities that have helped us grow. We have exciting giveaways, including concert tickets, gift cards, prizes from the Braves and Dogs. And just by stopping in and filling out a wish list, we will give you a $100 credit to spend with us at our Buckhead, Alpharetta, or Sharpsburg locations, and $100 toward helping local heroes and charities like Leukemia Lymphoma Society and Extra Special People. Come visit us, join the celebration, and see how much community means at Solomon Brothers. Head to SolomonBrothers.com and click on the banner to find out more, including the full list of prizes. And thank you for being a part of our community for 40 plus years. Visit Solomon Brothers Jewelers in Buckhead, Alpharetta, or Peachtree City, online at SolomonBrothers.com. Solomon Brothers is the preferred jeweler of your Atlanta Braves.
Hey, this is Matt from East Cobb. We basically bought our house from our in-laws. It was my wife's childhood home. One of the issues that we've had when we first moved in was our dog in our backyard. It was extremely shaded, could never grow grass back there. We resodded it twice. So ATL Turf Co. did an amazing job with our backyard transformation. They basically created a miniature golf hole. We have a miniature fairway. We also have a miniature little putting green. Consists of about 4 holes, total about 40 yards, so you can definitely work on your short game and your putting. After that transformation that ATL Turf Co. did for us, my father-in-law came and saw his house the way it looked after the fact of we had a putting green and a miniature golf course. Sure enough, he did the same thing with ATL Turf Co. He has a beautiful backyard, wonderful stonework, drainage, and a beautiful practice area for chipping and putting. Check him out online at atlturfco.com.
Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Retirement means different things to different people. Some folks want to travel the world. Some folks want to spend more time with grandkids. For me, I'm looking forward to spending more time with my guitar. Whether extravagant and robust or simple and cozy, every retirement needs a plan. You wouldn't take a trip without directions. You have to know where you are before you know where you're going. Master Plan Retirement Consultants have helped many like you plan for their own retirement. Not only does Master Plan help you create the roadmap, they join you on the journey. So whether you want to travel the world, become a pickleball champ, or just looking for a good porch, a sturdy rocking chair, and an acoustic guitar, remember to plan well because the destination is worth it. Visit masterplanretire.com to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
You need a pre-owned car or truck, but you don't need the headache of searching for one. Spending hours calling dealerships, then spending half the day filling out paperwork. Come on. You need the Honest Car Guy.
Hey, this is Tom from the Honest Car Guy. We help you buy your next pre-owned car or truck honestly. We guarantee each vehicle we sell will come with a copy of the bill of sale, showing what we paid for it. You pay what we pay, plus an honest fee. Guaranteed.
Get an honest car buy from the Honest Car Guy. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME-1 or visit honestcarguy.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Monday, June 16th. The No Kings protests and rallies held on Saturday across the U.S. had almost 20 different locations in Georgia. At least 8 people were arrested in DeKalb County on charges of obstruction of an officer and unlawful assembly. Police used tear gas to disperse the crowd after protesters began marching on Chamblee-Tugger Road towards 285. The body of a 27-year-old man was recovered from Lake Lanier on Sunday after a 24-hour search. The Department of Natural Resources said Ramon Diaz-Soria jumped into the water with a life vest, but it was not secured. And an Atlanta woman is warning commuters after she was scammed out of $800 by the Atlanta Water Boys, who have been known to aggressively sell water at intersections around the city. She said she attempted to send them $5 using a QR code on Cash App, but the code withdrew $800 from her account. Today's weather partly cloudy with scattered thunderstorms this evening. Temperatures will reach the high 80s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne for Extra 106.3.
9 o'clock hour brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. 8779 Southern, southernexteriors.co. With all the rain in the forecast, if you've got a little leak in the roof or your roof needs to be replaced altogether, now might be the right time to call Southern Exteriors. Like I said, it's not going to be a sunshiny day until like Saturday. And then after that, it's another 3 or 4 days of rain. So rain, at least a 50% chance of rain throughout this week. Saturday's the exception, and then Sunday through like next Wednesday, rain again. So it is in the forecast and will be for a long time. If you've got roof issues, call Southern Exteriors, 8779 Southern, southernexteriors.co. They'll give you 10% off any job, and or you can get 12 months, 0% financing. So an easy way to get that problem fixed before the rain comes down. Call them today because it's supposed to rain again today. As I mentioned, it's in the forecast. It feels like that's all it's done is rain, Angela.
Oh my gosh, I miss the sun.
Me too. We did get just the tiniest bit of it yesterday. My wife and I took the dog on a walk later in the afternoon, probably like 4, 5, maybe 5:30, somewhere in there. And because it had been raining, and then the sun kind of came in, burned off some of the clouds for just a little while, and it was so humid. I mean, we just took a lap around the neighborhood. Holy cow, our dog came in, his tongue's hanging out. He's like, get me some water.
I think it was Ben Ingram I heard say this the other day, and I'd never heard this before, but it just nails it. He said, yeah, it feels like Georgia in the summer. It's like breathing a peanut butter sandwich.
That's right. As thick as it could possibly be. You can cut it with a knife.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And I love the heat. I love the humidity. Don't bother me at all. I'm a fan of it. I should have been born on the equator instead of Northwest Georgia, but I know not everybody feels that way. It can get toasty hot in Georgia, and it's going to be that way for a while. So if you need that roofing fixed, call Southern Exteriors, 8779 Southern, southernexteriors.co. So I want you to hear from a kid named Nate Friedman. He was out at one of the protests and was talking to a man that was out there, older gentleman was out there, and he was explaining to Nate why he was protesting. And then a woman comes up and says, don't talk to him. Don't talk to him. You don't know what side he's on.
Wow.
Right. And then there's one more piece of information you need to know about this lady. I want you to hear from her first, then I'll share what it is.
There are two parties. One is a party of Nazis and fascists. The other party may not be all put together.
And Nazis, like, what do you mean by Nazis?
Hitler's fascists, people who want to use groups against each other.
Can I just ask, are your credentials and what you're
my name is Nate. I just have a YouTube channel.
Nate, so we don't know what side leads.
Let him.
I know, but
I don't care.
Just so you know, I'm with a group that is just pointing out that there are some folks here who will take words and
let them do it. I don't care.
Let's have a conversation.
I don't care.
Can I ask who are you with? Can I ask who are you with?
Thank you.
Who are you with?
I'm with America.
No, but you asked me who am I with, so I'm asking you who are you with?
Well, you're acting like a reporter with a...
I am a reporter.
Yeah, okay.
You want to see my press credentials?
I want you to talk.
Hey, here's my press credentials.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so who are you with?
I'm right now I'm representing myself, and I'm representing the folks at Rise and Resist who have been trained
Rise
to
and
be
Resist.
marshals.
How much do they pay you to wear this vest?
Absolutely nothing.
Really? So I did some digging, and the woman trying to stop my interview is named Karen Shaw. She is a professional protester. I found her at almost 100 different protests.
And that's where the truth comes out. So many of these protesters are at lots and lots and lots of protests. We've seen that over and over again. We saw it during the campaign with Kamala Harris. These people are paid agitators. They're paid to be out there. They have no idea what even they're protesting most of the time. But Rise and Resist is most likely a socialist or communist organization. Most likely. I've not looked them up, but I will as we discuss this and see if we can't nail it down. But so many of these people show up the exact same protest because it's not organic. It's people that are showing up on behalf of an organization to make it look a particular way.
Yep, it is all staged. And she couldn't tell the truth. I think the issue with this woman is it encapsulates the entire problem with the American left. Disrespectful, doesn't want to talk to someone who might disagree with her, won't tell the truth about who she is. She goes, oh, I'm with America.
Yeah,
I'm representing me. No,
right.
You're part of this other group, and you should have been honest about it from the jump. So I give Nate a lot of credit here for uncovering who this person really is.
And it is that Rise and Resist is a 501c4 nonprofit organization. But if you go down to the bottom of their page, it says donate. If you click on the donation button, it takes you to Act Blue. So now you know what it is, a Democrat organization.
That answers that.
Yeah, right. All the money goes to the Democrat Party. No surprise there. It shouldn't surprise you at all that there's so many of these organizations. And the crazy thing is we're giving them tax deductions. We're giving them tax breaks to be able to bring America to its knees so something else can sprout up, as AOC would say. It's one of my favorite quotes because it really does get to the point of what they want to see for the United States. They want to see for your future.
Yeah, and that's somebody who doesn't want to have a healthy and open conversation with someone she disagrees with. And until you can do that, don't bother showing up at the protest. Like, what are you doing? Stay home.
I don't think most Americans do. I think there's the handful of folks that get caught. I mean, the 20%, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's 80-20, easily 80-20. And the 20% are looking for something. They lack belonging. That's why I always joke, go to church, man. Find yourself church. If you're looking for belonging, find yourself church. But when I look at the pictures of these people, the ones that they've shared, I mean, it's always the same people. It's the boomers that get their dues from mainstream media, and there's plenty of boomers that do not and don't show up to crap like that. But then it's the purple-haired crazies, the people that are struggling with mental health issues.
Yes.
And yet, that's what the mainstream media pushes every day. That's what they tell you you should long to be. You should be a part of this. This is the resistance. The problem is most Americans didn't vote for the resistance. They voted for Donald Trump to clean up the resistance. We're tired of the resistance.
Yes, these are people who cannot cope with the fact that their side lost. And I have a lot of compassion for people going through mental health challenges. I've struggled with anxiety, especially on airplanes. But when someone just decides, oh, I have anxiety or I have this or I have that, and I diagnose myself off of a TikTok I found from someone who watched a lot of Grey's Anatomy, and now because I have this diagnosis, I can never be held accountable for anything.
Ever.
I've seen a lot of that on the left. I haven't seen it on the right, thankfully. That's not a healthy way to live. And I am not a doctor. I haven't even watched a lot of Grey's Anatomy.
Exactly
but
right.
I know that using your medical condition to say, oh, well, I can't be held accountable, it's not the move.
No, definitely not. And I think everybody sees it. Everybody knows it, or at least the overwhelming majority. Because it seems like there's about 10% of the country that falls into this. And we'll have to drag them kicking and screaming across the finish line to that place where Donald Trump is trying to navigate this American ship to peace, first of all, prosperity after that. And you saw that prosperity across the board for all Americans during his first administration. And that was with his hands cuffed.
Yes.
By and large, the entirety of his 4 years, he was handcuffed by people in his own party trying to derail him, along with those Democrats trying to derail him. This time he's more prepared, certainly has challenges, but is able to get by them for the most part. And you're already starting to see personal wealth grow and income coming in more, people getting paid better. You're seeing inflation go down. Grocery prices are more affordable. Gas prices are more affordable. The only thing that seems to be more expensive these days is booze. That's what they tell me. Booze at supermarketnews.com. It's booze that you can that you're still going to pay more for. The people that get out and protest, I have no time for. They bore me. They have no ideas. The only thing they know, and you brought this up earlier, the only thing they say is resist, resist, resist. But they don't give you any alternative view. It's not, hey, this is wrong. Here's what we should be doing. No, it's just resist. That's it. That's the only message.
Yeah, there is no positive vision for America. And if they wonder why their numbers are dwindling, it's because that side is not a fun place to be right now.
Yeah.
We're about to celebrate America on the 4th of July. A year from now, we'll celebrate the semi-sesquicentennial.
Oh my gosh, I can't even believe you tried to say that.
I think it's worth like way a lot of Scrabble points.
Yeah, I would imagine
I hope
so.
I get to use that
Yeah,
at some point
right,
in my life.
yeah.
But 250 years.
Incredible.
It's a really exciting time to be alive and free in America, and people are just choosing to opt out.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Riley Gaines is the person that we talk about on the show a lot because she's been so proactive in defending women's sports. And she lost a national championship here in Atlanta to a man parading as a woman. And it was down at Georgia Tech, sadly enough. I hate that it happened in the city, but it did. She's got a great pro-life message, and this is a woman who just announced her own the fact that she's expecting with her husband.
I'm so excited for her.
Yeah, it's very
She's
sweet.
the sweetest person. And
Have you spent time with her?
I got to know her a
Nice.
bit last summer, actually, about a year ago today, I think. We were working on this Title IX bus tour. It was called Our Bodies, Our Sports. The Defense of Freedom Institute was part of this, as was Independent Women's Forum and a handful of other groups that said, we're going to take this message around the country and rally people behind the idea that women's sports are for women and women's spaces are for women. No shade to the men. There were a lot of dads who showed up with their kids, especially their daughters.
Well, yeah, dads. That's the job of a dad, is to take care of and protect their daughters. I mean, that's their number one goal when they have daughters, is to do that.
And I got to meet so many dads and moms, too, who were going to bat for their kids. And Riley Gaines was part of this tour, and hearing her tell her story and getting to know her, even just briefly, she's the real deal. She's incredibly kind. She was like asking me about my wedding. Like she had there was nothing in this world I can do for her. She was just nice to me because she's a nice person.
Yeah.
So seeing her make that announcement, I was like, go girl. I'm so thrilled for her.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But she had a take that I agree with when it comes to being pro-life.
I want to share just a couple of revelations that I've had since becoming pregnant. Number one, becoming a mother or a soon-to-be mother has made me radically pro-life. And for clarity, I've always been pro-life because I have always been a Christian who knows that, of course, we have a God who condemns the shedding of innocent blood and gives purpose to each of his children before conception. Reminds me of Jeremiah 1:5, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. So being pregnant hasn't necessarily made me value life any more than I did prior to conception. But it has made the thought of abortion hurt deeply and viscerally. It has made it unimaginable to me. It has highlighted how the phrase of reproductive freedom, how that is totally misleading verbiage. Of course, every single woman has the freedom to reproduce if, number one, they are capable, and if, number two, they choose to do so. But what no woman or what no human being should ever have the freedom to do, is prematurely end the life of a developing child.
Unbelievable to hear her say that, because I feel the exact same way. I just can't imagine having, now coming on Father's Day. I mean, I've always appreciated life because the good book tells me that I should, and I certainly subscribe. But having been a father now for almost 21 years, there's nothing more important to me than that. Nothing.
It's beautiful.
I cannot imagine at any point going, it's just not for us.
Yeah.
This is an inconvenience.
And I'm not a mom, but I've had the joy of watching so many of my friends become moms.
But you would like to be one day, right?
Someday for sure.
Yeah.
And watching my friends bring new life into the world.
It's amazing. It's unbelievable.
It's almost indescribably special. And I have 2 little nieces who are just about the cutest things in the whole world.
Yeah,
and they're so sweet. And I love being Aunt Ange to them and to some of my friends' kids. It's so much fun. And watching people go through this, you think there's nothing more special than family.
And then think about the decision to say, those kids that you just glowingly talked about had their mom go, not now. There's nothing in me that understands that comprehends that. I mean, I can't, this is the kind of guy, you can probably make fun of me. I'm the guy that takes the spider out of the house and puts it outside.
Oh, no, you got to smush those.
No, I can't. I can't bring myself to do it. I can't.
Oh, I had an old roommate who was this guy who would take the bug outside and I would wave goodbye and go, see you tomorrow, little guy.
See, my
You'll
wife
be back in my kitchen.
My wife says the exact same thing. But I don't want to kill anything. I don't want to step on an ant. I don't want to do anything. Are there times that I have to? Sure. Are there times that my wife is in panic and I reach up to grab the spider off the ceiling and get it too quickly and squeeze it too hard? Yes. But it's never my goal. If I have that way of thinking about any life, you can only imagine what I have when it comes to human life. I agree with Riley Gaines 1,000,000%. I couldn't agree with her more. And the way she said it was so eloquent, much more eloquent than I'll ever be able to be. There's nothing more important in this world than mamas and taking care of mamas. And I'm so proud for her, too.
I'm excited for her. She's going to be an amazing mom.
She is.
And watching people get excited about parenthood with a really public platform, it's cool. It gives me confidence as someone who wants to get there one day. There's joy in this because so much of the cultural narrative has been, if you have a baby, your life is over.
Yeah. But that's the narrative. You're exactly right. That's the narrative. No, it's the greatest thing that could ever happen to you. The greatest thing that could ever happen to you. And if you see it any other way, I can't understand you. I don't know where you're coming from. But I know there's people that feel that way. And we'll probably always have that river between us. I hope it's less and less, though. An American gets deported from Mexico. And it shouldn't be any surprise how it happens or why it happens. Next on Extra, as we wrap up the show.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Here are your sports headlines for Monday, June 16th. The Braves have the day off today after they dropped the final game in the home series against the Colorado Rockies on Sunday, 10-1. The Mets come to town tomorrow evening. Spencer Schwellenbach will take the mound against David Peterson. First pitch is set for 7:15. In the NBA, the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder are tied at 2 games apiece for the championship after the Thunder beat the Pacers 111-104 Friday night. Game 5 is set for tonight in Oklahoma. Tip-off is scheduled for 8:30. And in the Stanley Cup Finals, the Florida Panthers lead the Edmonton Oilers 3-2. The Panthers beat the Oilers Saturday night, scoring 5-2 for Edmonton. The series picks up again tomorrow night in Miami. The puck drops at 8 o'clock. With your sports headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
Surveys reveal that peace of mind is a paramount concern for people approaching retirement. So, Coach Pete, what helps bring that peace of mind?
That sound means financial fill-up. That means every single year in retirement, you get a new check delivered to your checking account. And if you pass away, your spouse continues to get that check. That's where the value starts really hitting, because a lot of people pass away and they leave their spouse with nothing but bills. And then the spouse has to change zip codes in a bad way, like move out of this neighborhood, move over there to that apartment. So the secret of life is get on that green brick road and make sure that you have that financial fill-up strategy, which will deliver a check to you regardless of what happens in the stock market. This is not stock market money. This is safe money. Now, we like the stock market, but we like the stock market only after we have our safe money and our retirement income number planned out.
A comprehensive review, no cost, no obligation with Coach Pete's local trusted advisor, Craig Chandler of Chandler Wealth Management. 800-419-6164. 800-419-6164. 800-419-6164.
I enjoy a good night's sleep, and I like to breathe while I'm sleeping. My wife appreciates that, too. That's why I wear a CPAP. You want the right machine. You want expert advice. You want all the supplies that go with it. You get it all at CPAPs, etc. in Alpharetta. Machines, masks, tubing, filters, cleaning supplies, all of it, and they ship nationwide. Walk-ins, by the way, are welcome. CPAPs, etc. Alpharetta, CPAPsetc.com.
The future of business in Georgia is bright, and Georgia Power is a driving force behind the businesses and organizations that are vital to the growth of the state. Just ask Brandon Hutchison, Executive Vice President and General Manager of Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Make no mistake about it, we're big customers of Georgia Power. It really is a true partnership. We've ran NASCAR's highest level of racing. In the early days of Atlanta Motor Speedway, Atlanta International Raceway, as it were, they raced twice a year, and that was about it. And then we started figuring out that this is an 850-acre campus that can do so much more. And it's not just the larger events that impact the region. It's the local events that really impact our community. It's a big responsibility for us to be such a big player in our community. And there's no doubt that Georgia Power has fan experience front of mind all the time.
To learn more about how Georgia Power is helping businesses big and small, visit GeorgiaPower.com and tune in all year to discover how they're powering the future of Georgia.
Hey, it's Front Office Lowe's here to tell you about a new company that is changing the way people buy their next pre-owned car or truck. At The Honest Car Guy, they offer a completely transparent way to purchase a vehicle. You pay what he pays, plus a small, honest fee. You can choose any make or model. He will search the country for the best deal out there. He'll handle the paperwork, your trade-in, shipping, and even give you the bill of sale. Friends, I've done the research, and this is a buying process that you can trust. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1 or visit online at honestcarguy.com.
You're great at protecting your personal information. You might even use things like two-factor authentication and strong passwords. But as much as you try to control how your info's protected, there are other places that also have it, and they may not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name Clay as the promo code at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
An investment in your home is something that will pay off in the future, but it's something that you can enjoy right now. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage, Entry Doors, and Windows. A beautiful new garage door, entry doors, and windows are an investment you can love every day, and they will increase your home's value, energy efficiency, and curb appeal. All Four Seasons, trusted in Atlanta for over 25 years, exceptional customer service, and high-quality work. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 SeasonsGarages.com.
The Morning Xtra on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3 FM.
Tug and Los until 10. Los out this week with his daughters down in Florida playing volleyball. Big times for that family, and I'm so proud of his girls. They are such hardworking kids. And they're so good at sports, and he fosters that. And I know he had a great Father's Day, spending time with his wife and daughters, doing what they love, playing volleyball. And he is proud papa when it comes to those girls.
Oh, he's told me a bit about
my gosh.
their sports and their volleyball games. I've even seen some video, and it's super cool. You know he is their number one fan.
Without a doubt. So that's where Los is. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
This week. It's going to be a great conversation to have throughout the morning for the rest of the week. So you had the No Kings protests all saying, that ICE is bad and Donald Trump is bad. And if you look at some of the research, Media Research Center has done, from June, say, 11th and 12th, CNN and MSNBC, they claimed the anti-ICE demonstration were peaceful 211 times, knowing that it wasn't peaceful for the most part. Or were they a few of them this weekend that were peaceful? Yeah, there were. Much smaller, not in blue cities for the most part. But 211 times is exactly what they said. Oh, it's peaceful. It's peaceful.
What was the date range on that again?
June 11th through the end of the 12th. So beginning 11th.
2 days.
Yeah, for 2 days. 211 times they said, oh, it's peaceful protest. That was CNN and MSNBC alone. That doesn't count ABC, CBS, CNBC, NBC. But anyway, all about ICE and other sort of stuff. I want you to hear from a woman that was in Mexico and was deported, an American citizen. We're the only country that are forbidden from enforcing our immigration laws. Us in Europe, Western countries.
You got to let everybody in.
Absolutely. This American citizen overstayed her 180-day tourist visa in Mexico. She was stopped on a bus coming back from a concert, taken to immigration, and she documents herself and forced back to the United States. Now, of course, they act like this doesn't happen in other countries. It's just here. Just the evil ICE getting rid of, illegal criminal aliens. Listen to this.
So this is what happens when you get caught in Mexico. How did they even find me in the first place? I was coming back from a concert in a bus stop at a toll booth. Some guy came in asking for ID. I showed him my California ID, but I didn't have my passport. Next thing I knew, I was in a van. I got to the immigration office. They patted me down, took away all my belongings. They looked me up and they saw that I overstayed my 180-day tourist visa. Long story short, they didn't let me leave the immigration office until I bought my ticket to go back to the USA, which is crazy because I already have my dual citizenship in process, but it's not complete yet. That could be why it didn't show up in the system. The closest flight I could get had multiple stops. Before I went to LA, I stopped at Monterrey. I thought it was going to be a smooth process going back to the United States, but then this happened. I didn't get my little paper stamp that they give you when you enter the country, so I ended up missing my flight. And anyone that overstays their 180 days, you have to pay a fee of 717 pesos, which is $35. But since I'm being kicked out of the country, I didn't have to pay that. Anyways, they got me another multiple stop flight. So it took me 2 more flights before I got back to the United States. Yes. And once I saw the Edgar cuts and the LA outfit, I landed back to the motherland.
So she went through hoops just to get back home after she'd been kicked out of Mexico overstaying her visa. Now, if you were to say someone's here in the United States illegally overstaying their visa and you were to take them out of the country, you would be called racist and bigoted and all these sort of things.
Oh, yeah.
You're the root of all evil. You're MAGA extremist, I'm sure. But it just shows you every country enforces their immigration laws. Every one of them. It's not odd that the United States is enforcing its laws. It was odd that the United States didn't enforce their laws for so long.
Right. It was this historical aberration. And the woman in that clip, she acts like she's the victim
Yeah.
of, I just overstayed. I almost have my dual citizenship.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have it yet.
Yeah.
I didn't get my little paper stamped.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a you problem.
That's right.
I don't feel bad for her. Like,
Nor do
Mexico
I.
did the right thing.
It's exactly right. I have no issues with what Mexico did. Zero.
She seems very aware of what the rules are and also very aware she didn't follow them.
But see, that's the thing. Most people are like, "Oh, the rules, that's for somebody else. I don't got to follow the rules.
They don't apply to me.
They don't apply to me. I'm going to do whatever I want. I'll come to the United States anytime I want. I'm going to be here forever. I will find some news outlet to stand in front of and yell and scream about how I'm being mistreated. When in reality, all that's happening is the laws are finally being enforced. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that. That's why we don't watch the mainstream media. That's why we don't listen to days and days of so-called peaceful protest as it's described on MSNBC and CNN. I just have no time for any of this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty patient guy, and I want to treat people with kindness. But when the system is so broken and it's so clear that everybody is on the same side when it comes to media and Hollywood and the music industry and certainly leftist politicians, they're all saying the same things. It is... I think this is the way to be countercultural. Vote for Donald Trump and be a traditional American, because that's not what the the culture tells you.
Yes. Everything when you turn on the TV tells you to do the exact opposite. There are plenty of very well-paid TikTokers who will tell you the exact opposite.
And we played, I bet there was 50 of them that were reading the same script. We played it on Friday. And it was all about, how this is all horrible and racist and bigoted and all that.
It is one message, and it's not racist. We have visa overstays in this country, hundreds of thousands of them who are from all over the world. The Colorado shooter, his family was getting kicked out, and it was, they're going after the family. That means you're next.
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't, because I'm an American citizen.
Got no problems here. But I do believe the laws should be enforced, just like I believe you shouldn't be able to break into someone's home.
Yes.
I think that law should be enforced. Are there things that need to happen to keep law and order? Yes. And I don't have a problem with it. It's exactly what I voted for. And I hope it continues. I hope we don't get soft on it. We have to get a full reset. We have to correct this problem before we restart even allowing people to come back. We have to get a hand on it, or a handle on it. We have to understand it. We have to know what we're doing. We have to have a plan in place so it is orderly and it does follow the law. That's the way I feel about it. And I hope you do too. All right, so that does it for us. We're going to turn this thing over to the Glenn Beck program. After that, Clay and Buck, biggest show in all of conservative media. And then the local afternoon show with the Kimmer, Pete and Flounder, legendary voice of the Kimmer, only on Extra 106.3. For Jeray and Angela Morabito in for Front Office Los, my name is Tug. Y'all come back now, you hear?
Live and local news talk continues at 3 p.m. with Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder. It's the Kimmer Show, only on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.